Let's
What's up,
do it.
everybody? Welcome back to another highly combustible. Well, it's not a reaction; it's an interview this time. Everybody knows Samuel from Exploring the Foreign. He's on that side. What's up, Sam?
Hello.
I'm glad to
What's
finally be
going
getting
on, man?
together with you.
I was super excited to be here, man, after seeing so many of your videos, seeing your reactions to my videos, and some of the exchanges we had behind the scenes. I'm happy that we finally get to connect, man, live. Well,
Yeah,
live with each other. Not live,
live-ish.
but live. Yes, live,
Well,
exactly.
when I after this, I will do a premiere on it, and then I'll be in there within the chat watching what everybody has to say. But yeah, I'm super glad we're finally getting together. You're living the life that I want.
Hey, man, come on over. Come on over. You know the people want you here.
Ultimately, what I'm curious though, like how feasible is it? What made you
Yeah.
decide, you know what, I'm done with California, I'm going to the Netherlands? Like,
So actually, prior to moving here, I was living in New York City. So I am from California, but
okay.
prior to moving here, I was in New York City for like about a year and a half at the time. But I was dating a Dutch person who I had known for a few years at that moment. And ultimately, we were trying to figure out, like, okay, what are we going to do about this? Because it was doing like the whole long distance thing, but it just, it's not the most feasible way to have a relationship.
I
It's quite
agree
difficult.
there.
Yeah, and it's also like in the middle of COVID going on is like around when I started thinking about this is around like October, November or so. No, around like September 2020, I would say. And then ultimately, I just made a decision to try to apply for some jobs out here in the Netherlands. And then one of the first companies I applied to and interview with, they offered me a visa to move here.
Holy
And so I was
crap.
just like, all right. I was in New York at the time, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna go pack up all my stuff and move out there to be with the girl. So yeah, man, that's kind of how that happened. And to be honest, and granted, this I'm not trying to say this is how it always would go, but like at least in my situation, it went really, really quick. Like I was interviewing at the company in like November 2020 or so, and then had a couple of rounds of interviews, and then within 2, 3 weeks, I had an offer with a visa, and then I just moved.
You just
So
said,
it
I'm
was.
jumping.
I just said, let's do it, man. Let's go.
I'm ready for an adventure.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, I had known this person for a few years already at the time. I visited the Netherlands probably about 3 times, I think, prior to that.
Okay.
So I had a decent sense of like the country and everything, and yeah, I knew it was a place that I would feel comfortable in, I should say. And yeah, it was also just obviously just a weird, funky time with everything going on at COVID. So I was just like, you know what, let's do this. I really cared about the person and everything. I really wanted to explore the relationship. So I was just like, this is the time to go for it.
And you didn't start learning Dutch until you got there on ground?
Basically, so obviously I knew some like the basic stuff like hello
Just
or
from having a girl.
hi.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly, exactly. But in terms of like really, really learning, yeah, it was once I got out here that I was just, for me, I really find it important if I'm gonna like be living somewhere to be able to speak the language, despite like whatever the English level may be. And obviously, here in the Netherlands, the English level is quite high. So if you really, really want to, as a foreigner, you can get by with English, at least in the major cities for sure. But nonetheless, for me, I recognize like it just changes the way you're able to integrate into a country, the way you're able to connect with the people, the culture, if you're able to learn the language. And I'm also someone very social, so I just found it, very important to just as soon as possible try to learn. Also, like with my girlfriend, like being around her family and everything, I didn't want to just be that guy at the dinner table that can't speak with anybody or doesn't know what everyone's talking about.
I totally get it. That's the way I was in Thailand. I see, you know what?
Yeah.
'Cause in Thailand there was a guy in the 7-Eleven yelling at the girl behind the counter. And when I went in there, was a foreign guy, a white guy, and he looked at me dead in my eyes. He said, "Can you believe it? These people don't speak any English." And I'm like, "Bro, do you
Yeah,
realize where you're at?"
yeah, yeah,
Like, I don't
yeah.
want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that's like, okay, he's trying. Even if I mess it up, even if I fumble my
Yeah,
words, and you have to correct me a gazillion times, that's better than me not trying at all. So I totally get
no, for
that. That
sure,
makes absolute
for
sense.
sure. And hearing people, Dutch people, like extremely appreciate the effort if you try to learn Dutch. Because once again, most people that move here that speak English don't try to learn Dutch, or they learn like a very, very low level. So you really take the effort to try to learn, even if you're making mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes when I'm speaking Dutch, but nonetheless, I sound confident in what I say. It makes sense. So then people are ultimately like, "Wow, I'm really amazed," or "I really, appreciate the effort you put in to learn the language." So
It's
yeah, I
true.
have no doubt I already know you're learning actually. So
Yeah, I'm
keep going,
started
man.
learning. I gotta
Yeah,
get
me
somewhere
too.
close.
Yeah.
Goodness. This the man is a sociable man. Hello. Not most people ain't out there ain't even trying to speak any of the language. He's asking the king questions.
Man, that was crazy. That was a crazy surreal
Bro,
experience. You know what's funny about that too? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
you saw your moment and you took it.
Man, I tell you, like, I could not have written up that moment any better. I swear. To this day, when I look back at it, I'm like, that just played out so perfectly. I mean, just the position I was standing at the moment he like was, walking up, and there was none of the other press around me. And then yeah, I just see the video. I just literally just said, "All right, this is
This
it. I'm
is
going
it.
for
This
it
is the
right
shot.
here." And then right as I went up, if you watch the video back, you'll see like once I started talking to him, you'll see all these other people start swarming in because a lot of the press like they didn't think to like go up at that moment. They thought, okay, he's in the middle of like this soccer football thing that he's doing, so let's not interrupt. But I was just like, hey,
Hey, you gotta
I'm a,
answer. You gotta answer the press wish they could have gotten.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also too the fact that when I asked the question in Dutch, like looking back, I'm like, I'm glad that he understood me on the first try because that also would have been super awkward if I said something in Dutch and he was like, huh? Like what
Yeah,
you
but
said,
that
you know what I
takes
mean? But
guts, man. That takes like pure guts. Most people are afraid they're gonna stumble over something. Let me see.
yeah,
What?
man, I don't know. That situation was insane.
So, you say you got a visa from a company? That was actually one of the questions from Getty. Was I'm curious what Samuel has for an occupation or work besides YouTuber. If he does, what is it? And you don't have to
Yeah, so my
answer
back.
any question I ask that you think is too personal. You ain't got to answer it. Go ahead and wave it off, and we'll move to the next one.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I don't have to say like all the specifics where I work and all that, but I will say my background is in finance, so that's where my 9 to 5 work deals with, which obviously is quite opposite of kind of the YouTube kind of slash creative thing. But it's funny because I never was any kind of creative person or had any kind of creative endeavors before in my life. The YouTube thing just stumbled across my path, man, and it's something I really connect with, something I really love doing now on the side at the moment. And so, yeah, but my 9 to 5 is actually within finance. I'm also like a numbers guy. I enjoy
Okay.
math, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, you enjoyed my mouth. I get you to finish this math course. Let's keep me from my degree.
Oh, I got you, man. I got you. We'll figure out the fee. We'll figure out the fee on the side.
Absolutely. And you good with the numbers? No.
Yeah, I got you.
Now, if YouTube ever did get big enough, would you quit the other job, or are you gonna plan on splitting it the entire time?
Nah, great question. I mean, honestly, if you had asked me this probably like a year ago or so, I would have been like, yeah, for sure. Like, I definitely want to, as soon as possible, try to make YouTube full time. But I've kind of been in a space recently where I really enjoy it being still kind of a thing on the side at the moment. Like I'm not dependent on the income from it. I'm not dependent, you know what I mean, just on it blowing up or whatever. And I think for me that allows me to kind of just still be in a space where I just make whatever I want to make. I mean, if you look at my channel, I have some videos that do crazy big numbers, like really, really well, and I have some videos that barely get any views. You know what I mean? But I think it kind of ties to the fact that the content I'm making is really literally just whatever's in my head that I'm just interested in making for that day or for that moment or whatever. I don't really have like some kind of published schedule, so it's not really the most consistent channel per se, which is something I'm trying to get better at in the coming months. But nonetheless, like I like to have that freedom still with it right now, if that makes sense,
You don't
instead
want to
of
feel
feeling
like it's a
so
job either.
exactly, exactly. I think it's allowed it to stay fresh and fun for me. But if it was full time for myself, then I think I would be and maybe this is not true, but maybe it's just an assumption, but I just feel like I would be too caught up in chasing a number, chasing the most amount of views
Yeah,
per
that makes
month,
sense.
you
It
know what I
makes
mean?
complete
Trying to
sense to
become
me as a
better.
YouTuber. It makes complete sense
Yeah,
because it can get overwhelming. It can. There's been times where
yeah,
it can be great, but it can also be devastating. Like, my God, I don't have time
yeah,
for anything else. But
yeah.
luckily,
No,
I've
I
cut
feel that.
back. When I was in Thailand, I was 14-hour days on YouTube in the Discord with my people.
Oh my goodness.
And now I realized how terrible it was because my missus was always in the room. She's just kind of sitting there. She didn't have anything to do. Then I was like, you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what? This is horrible because what she's going through, I can't let YouTube do that to me again. So now we're cut way back. We've gone. When I first started, we were dropping 20 videos a day, 25 videos a day,
Goodness
which
gracious.
seems impossible. I know because even I look at it now and I'm like, I don't know how we did that
You're glued to the computer the whole day.
all day long. But now it's fun again. It's vibrant. I get to wake up in the morning, see my people. Like They're in the Discord with me normally right now. They're probably all just anxiously awaiting this video. So,
No,
I
that's awesome,
totally
man.
see it
Yeah,
not wanting it to become something that you have to do instead of something that you
yeah,
like to do.
yeah, yeah. I mean, down the line, if it really like gets that big to where it almost feels like inevitable, or like there's pretty much that's the only option at that point, then I'm definitely open to exploring that. But for right now, I'm just, as I said, really just enjoying this space right now, where I still have my full-time job, and then I make videos on the side, and not even in the sense of like just like some hobby. Like it's still something very serious for me, something that I really put a lot of effort into. But it's just not like at a full-time scale yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Let me see what we got next down here.
Yeah, man. Open book, man. I'm open book. I don't. There's not much I think I would not want to answer.
From Suzette, and she's from up there as well. What's the funniest thing
Okay.
you've experienced while living in the Netherlands?
Funniest thing I've experienced. And a few things come to mind. Well, so first of all, I just think just certain cultural experiences here in the Netherlands that are things that I never experienced
Just
before
like
coming here.
complete culture
Yeah,
shock. Like, what's going on here?
yeah, 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 for sure. So I mean, for example, something like Carnival comes to mind. You know what I mean? Like when I'm at those events, I think about it like this is something I would never see in the US. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously we have, for example, like Halloween parties and stuff like
But
that. But I
it's
mean, like the
not
whole
like
city just
carnival.
nah, nah, nah. You know what I mean? It's like whole city just filled with people dressed either like in costumes in certain cities or dressed in like a specific clothing and color, like in Dimples, and everyone just like a big city block party type vibe. You know what I mean? It's super fun, man. It's really it's so different, and you just yeah. Going back to the question about funny, it's just I have moments where I just look around at look around at my environment.
Where am
Sometimes I'm
I?
just like, yeah, exactly, exactly. So that, and I
The
think
closest party that we have in the States is probably Mardi Gras minus
Mardi,
the flashing.
yeah, no, I think yeah, that definitely is the closest. Which Mardi Gras is also tied with like Carnival and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff, right? I think.
they do all their
Yeah,
dress ups, and
yeah.
so that's
But
intriguing.
yeah, but I mean, still, like, it's just, I mean, the way, even if it's like similar event in the U.S., just the way that it happens here in the Netherlands is still different from anything that I've ever seen or experienced, you know? So that's really
Are you
funny
a
slash
carnival lover
cool.
then?
Oh man, I really love it. Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of Dutch people outside of the South, when they hear that or like, I tell them, oh, I'm going to Carnival or whatever, they're like, yo, what are you doing? Like, because outside of the South of the Netherlands, most people find it a really bad holiday,
Yeah,
to be honest.
I
Like they're
know
not
you
a big
either
fans of
love it
it.
or you hate it.
I think that's pretty much. I think you have those are two options that you have at Carnival, no in between. But yeah, for me, man. So this year, I went to actually the city Breda. I don't know if you've heard of that city before,
Mhm.
but I went to Breda this year. But typically, I've gone to Den Bosch. Three previous times I've gone to Den Bosch, and they celebrated two completely different ways. In Den Bosch, it's really a lot more strict with the rules in terms of how you're supposed to dress, some like kind of traditions and whatnot that they have. But it's really just awesome. Like it feels like a big family when you're there. It just feels like one big family at this outdoor party, basically. So that's really cool. But then this year, I had some friends in town, and I thought it'd be cool to take. They happen to be around during Carnival, so I was like, okay, I gotta bring them to Carnival for sure to experience this. But I wanted them to try a different city than both because in the other cities you can kind of just dress in any kind of costume you want. So I was like, okay, it'll be easier to take them to this event, you know. But it was a really fun experience in Breda as well this year, and just seeing like the way they celebrate there, just having drinks, just everyone just letting loose for a night or a couple of nights actually. But I went for one night. It was a really great experience.
That's
So
awesome.
that's one thing. But there's another thing I want to answer for that question was
Absolutely.
and by the way, if I'm talking too fast, let me know because I have a habit of talking quite fast sometimes.
You're good.
So
We got as much time as we need until you have to fall asleep.
okay. All right, cool, cool. But another funny thing that I've noticed is just certain habits that I picked up out here, and then when I recognize those change of habits in myself when I'm interacting with someone else. So what I mean by that is, for example, something I harp on in a lot of my videos is how much planning is a thing out here in the Netherlands. Like you really gotta plan in advance because people here are very strict with their planning and strict with their calendars, etc. So if you want to do something with people, if you want to get involved in other people's lives, you really have no choice. You gotta kind of join, you know what I mean? Join the vibe of
You better have a
planning things in advance.
calendar.
Yeah, or else you get left behind, man. Because I mean, for me, I don't know how you are, but for me, coming from the U.S., I was quite the spontaneous kind of person. You
I'm
know, it's just
always
kind of
spontaneous. I still don't have a
yeah.
schedule.
That's the same way I roll, man. But being out here, yeah, you learn quickly that it just doesn't fly with most people. But I say that to say that I have come into contact with some foreigners, for example, especially Americans, and then in those situations, I'm being quite a planned kind of person. But then they're like, "Yo, like, nah, I'd rather be more spontaneous." I'm like, actually, that's how I am too. But like, I just been out here for for the past few years now
Here's
that
the
I just kind of gotten
itinerary.
to. Yeah, it's like, oh, what are you doing this day at this time? Or, what are you doing 2 weeks from now on that day? And for me, it sounds crazy, but I'm just so used to it though now at the same time, when interacting with Dutch people, that it just feels like you have to do that. But once again, when I interact with other foreigners, then I kind of get reminded like, oh, wait, there are spontaneous people out there too. So that's
Yeah.
something else that I find funny.
There's some of our people that where I heard, oh, if someone comes over to my house unannounced, I just don't answer the door. And in the States, it's like someone knocks at your door, like, hey, hold on, someone's at the door. Let me go find out who it is. We don't think anything
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it. But there's some people up there that are like, no, I'm not even answering the door for you if you're not planning on coming
Oh,
over.
yeah.
And I'm like, what?
No, for
It's
sure.
a different world. It's a different whole mentality of life.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
In some ways, I can see it. And in some other ways, I'm like, my goodness, I don't know if I'll be able to get that scheduled. Like, it makes it hard to do anything when everyone's got a schedule.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think it's just one of those things, like with anything in life, where once you're around it for some time, you just naturally adjust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as I said, you just recognize pretty quickly that if you want to be involved in people's plans, if you want to be out doing stuff with others, then that's just kind of the way it goes. And then you just yeah, adjust. Have Google Calendar now on my phone. I was never the kind of person that put plans in my calendar ahead of time, but now I have to because I was forgetting stuff a lot too. My first couple of years out here. I mean, I've only been out here for three years, but nonetheless, like let's say for sure the first year, it'd be often that you'll make a plan with someone and then I just forget because I'm like, if you tell me a plan a week from now or a week plus from now, I might say yeah and agree to it in the moment, but I'm not gonna remember that.
I'm not
A
gonna
week later.
remember it either, for sure. It's not.
Nah,
It's not
nah.
happening. It's gonna
But then it'd be
disappear.
often that, yeah. But then like I said, they're good with the planning out here, so they'll remember, and then they'll hit you up like, "Hey, so we're still on for this X, Y, and Z." You're like, "Oh shit!" Like I totally forgot
I
about that.
totally forgot.
Yeah, yeah. So I had enough of those moments where I was like, I gotta use my Google Calendar app and all that.
Now I gotta get a day planner. Let's see how it is. Hold
Yeah,
on, let me
man.
check
Yeah.
my schedule. Nope, I'm busy next Tuesday.
Nah, that's really how it is, man.
Crazy.
You would adjust. I think you would adjust.
Yeah, I would be able to adjust. I'm pretty good about being flexible in other countries.
Yeah.
What was the first
Nah,
thing you noticed when arriving at the Schiphol airport for the first time? That's an
now,
interesting
okay.
question.
Yeah, I mean, my first time in the Netherlands was 2017, like April, yeah, I think like April 2017. And it was during while I was doing study abroad in Barcelona at the time, and then I just came for a few days with some of the people in my group. And so, I mean, when I think about like first arriving to Schiphol, the first thing that stands out to me is the I Amsterdam sign in front of the airport. I remember just going out there with the friends that I came with, and we're just like taking photos in front of the sign. And I remember too at that time, the Netherlands. I equated the Netherlands with Amsterdam. I didn't really
We
know much
all
about the
did.
Netherlands.
We all did at one point.
Exactly, exactly. And I don't know about you too, but like for me, when I think about at least at the time when I thought about Amsterdam, you just think of like this dark city where there's no rules. You know what I mean? It's just
Exactly.
the craziest stuff happens. So
That's
I
where you
just
gotta
felt like
go.
yeah, and I remember too, it was like pretty like gloomy weather, dark, rainy, gloomy weather during that time when I visited for those few days. So it just had this eerie kind of vibe. I remember when I first came to Amsterdam that time of just I remember of course walking through the red light and walking along the canals, but once again it's kind of like dark grayish weather. So it just felt like yeah, this country is
I
like
made
so
it to
just it's
Sin
just
City.
exactly, man. That's the most simple way I could put it. That's the most simple way I could put it. Which is so funny though now when I look back. at what I felt when I first arrived at Schiphol, when I first arrived to Amsterdam, compared to like now, obviously having more extensive experience in this country. Just the two ways that the way I perceive it then compared to how I perceive it now is just night and day. You know what I mean?
It's a complete different. You've
But
been
nonetheless,
schooled.
for sure, for sure. But nonetheless, even still, I could see how tourists have that perception of Amsterdam. And if you stay within the certain bubble of Amsterdam, then that perception is fulfilled. Like that perception is definitely kind of reinforced. But if you start to really branch out of that small little bubble in Amsterdam, then you see the Netherlands has a lot more to offer for sure.
Oh, I believe that. I think that a lot of the
Yeah.
places have a little bubble over them because there's a lot of pride of place from up there, which province you come from and where you were born, and I
Oh
love it.
yeah.
But at the same time, there are some people that are like, "Nah, screw everywhere but Amsterdam," and it's like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So
There's a lot of magical
that is
things.
that is something that I definitely, because now I live in Amsterdam at the moment, and I definitely recognize from either friends I've already had in Amsterdam or new people I've been meeting out here that it is quite common that if you're born and raised in Amsterdam, that you have this mindset of I don't really need to go anywhere else in the Netherlands beyond Amsterdam. It's like we have everything here. Why do I need to go to Brabant or why do I need to go to Limburg? Why do I need to go to Groningen? You know what I mean? Like that is a pretty common mindset for people from Amsterdam.
For me, it's more like, okay, I'm from California. You know what it's like here. To go to the
Yeah.
supermarket, you're going on a drive. Like everything's far
Yeah.
away in America. They're all so
Yeah.
close together. I'll be like, I'm gonna hit up every province. Like ding ding ding. It doesn't really
So to
take
this
that
day,
long.
yeah, no, to this day, that's what's really funny to me as well, is because when I think about this country, I just think about how small it is. But then, as you said, people from their different regions have such pride in their area, in their regions, as they should. But nonetheless, it's just kind of funny to me sometimes because you think like, okay, that's only like a 30-minute drive from this place, or that's only like an
Exactly.
hour and a half. You know what I mean? So for us, where we come from, it's like that's not a big, you wouldn't think of it as a big difference, but at the end of the day, I think everything's relative, right? So I could imagine for if you're from this country and this is what you're used to, if this is what your reference point is in terms of like size and all that, then yeah, a 30-minute drive or a 30-minute difference in terms of like the region distance is a big deal, you know?
Yeah, you be in another country in 45. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
exactly.
insane.
Exactly.
I love it though.
Yeah.
I think that, but I do think that if people from there came here for the first time, they would be like, "What in the world?" Because I moved to
Oh
North
yeah.
Carolina. That's a 5 day drive. People don't realize that it
Yeah.
takes 5 days
Yeah.
to drive across the states. It's insane.
I mean, honestly, even for myself though, and once again, as I said, everything is relative, right? So even for myself, I wasn't aware of like how big the US was until I left the US or I started traveling. Because to me, I just, you just grow up like, oh, United States of America, this is my country. Like it's just one
Yeah,
country.
we
You know
don't
what I
think
mean?
about it either, and we really don't.
Nah. Yeah. But then when you start to go to other places, you recognize like, whoa, like this is like a continent. It's not even like a country. It's a whole continent almost. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
it's yeah.
The size thing is boggles my mind. There's so many super proud people. They make the Netherlands seem like it's huge when you talk to them, and then I'm like, this little bitty thing. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, it's really funny, man. But it's also cool to see, like, once again, the pride people have and where they're from and all that. And granted, the differences are not always that big, but you do find some special things in certain areas that are very unique to a particular area. So that's also what's fun about doing this channel is that I get to just go out and explore and find all these different unique things throughout the country. You know what I mean? And yeah, just learn about the different ways of life out here. Once again, no matter how small the differences are, I just still find it intriguing nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it'll.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll ever lose that intrigue. I don't think it'll ever lose its luster either, because you're still
No.
from somewhere else. There's so many things to discover. There's so many different things to see.
Exactly, exactly. And that's, naturally, I am someone that even without YouTube, these are just things that I would love to explore and do. And I'm not trying to be cliche using the word explore, but
It's
that's just
no, but
genuinely
it
how,
makes
yeah,
sense. I consider
yeah,
myself an explorer. 16 different
yeah,
countries. I love it. Like I
yeah,
love traveling. I love
yeah,
learning.
yeah, yeah. No, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. It forces you to or not force you, I should say, but challenges you to kind of recognize like where you come from, recognize your norms, recognize the things that make you yourself, and then challenge like which of those things actually do you want to keep? Because a lot of times when you don't know any better, when you don't really experience anything else, you just assume, oh, this is the way of life, or this is how things should be done, or this is how things should be. But once you start exploring and experiencing other ways of life, then you really start to open up your mind to, yeah, okay, maybe it doesn't have to be this way, or yeah, that's what I really like.
Yeah, it makes absolute sense to me. This kind of leads into what we were talking about. Tess from up there in the Netherlands as well. Also, I also see you doing videos outside of Amsterdam, which is great because the Netherlands is more than only Amsterdam. Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, would you consider visiting all of the 12 provinces and doing a what is specific for that province? It could be a whole series.
So I actually did a series like that on my channel. I did like a traveling the Netherlands in a I think traveling the Netherlands in a week I called it
But you went to
series. I
every
did that
province?
once in every province. It was
You heard
looking
of
back on it,
I'm gonna put a link.
it yeah. Yeah, I did that back in 2022. It was an insane thing that I did. It was just one of those things where it was kind of still early on when I had started the channel, and I just think I was like, this just sounds like some fun, crazy thing to just try and
I'm
do.
just
So
gonna hit them
let's
all.
yeah, I was like, let's just do it. It was one of those crazy, like, let's just blast through every province within a week. And it was a really challenging effort for sure. But I really, really enjoyed it. It was super, super fun. And I was literally editing the video each day as I was going through the travel. So like it was so people could like follow me pretty much not live, of course, but it felt like the feeling of it as if it was live. Like,
Well,
okay,
that's
now you see where I
awesome
was at.
though. 'Cause then
Yeah.
you then you
Yeah.
then you do it in pieces, right? Dun, dun, dun. Like
Yeah, exactly.
you
Yeah.
can watch it in pieces or anything. No, we're gonna be
Yeah.
watching that video. I promise you.
For sure. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. But yeah, that was really cool way to kind of see like the whole country. Granted, of course, it was a small sample size during that period. But yeah, to answer that question, I've done something similar, but maybe I'll do something again soon.
More in depth for each province.
Exactly, exactly.
Because
Really try to highlight
you
more
can
like
never learn enough. Lord knows we know some Dutch history by now. My God, I probably know
yeah,
more
yeah.
about Dutch history than I do American history.
There's a lot of history in this country, that's for sure.
Yeah, for something so small, they do go back a long damn time.
Oh yeah, for
Like,
sure, for sure.
let's see what we got. Ronnie is a Dutchie, but he lives in Germany.
Okay.
That's the other thing. I get Dutchies from around all over the place. I think I've even got a Dutchie from Costa Rica, which is crazy.
Oh wow.
Like
Oh,
Dutch people are just shotgunning the map. They're everywhere.
Dutch people are everywhere, man. I tell you, I've been in the most randomest places in the most random countries and running into Dutch people. It's like you go anywhere in the world, you're gonna run into them. And especially once you like live here, it's easy to be able to spot and just recognize what a Dutch person looks like. And of course, once you train your ear to the language and you hear that as well. But yeah, Dutch people travel really, really well, man. Really, really well.
You definitely learn how to spot some. Even in the Thailand grocery store, the man walking up and down, wringing his hands, going, "Oh, hot, oh, hot, oh, hot." I was like, it's Dutch. Like,
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. But
before,
wait, have you
before
been
I,
in, have you,
what's that?
oh, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead, go ahead.
Before I would never have noticed it. I would have just been like, this guy's a
Yeah.
weirdo. But now I'm like, he's Dutch.
Yeah, yeah. Oh wait, you've never been in the Netherlands at all?
Never been.
Oh man, come on, man.
The
You gotta
first
get that
visit is
passport out.
coming soon.
You gotta get that passport out. I just thought like maybe it's been a while since you visited or something, but you've never been at all. Yeah, you
No,
gotta
I
get
gotta break out my passport for sure and get my ass up there.
that. Yeah.
It needs to happen. So Ronnie
Most deaf,
says,
man.
what is your favorite Dutch snack, sweet or savory? And what American snack, sweet or savory, do you miss?
Man, favorite Dutch snack. I'll tell you already. I can't just give you one. That's too hard. I mean, if I really had to choose my top one, it might be kibbeling. I love kibbeling, man. Kibbeling is
Yeah,
just yeah. The closest thing I could like compare it to, and it's not the same thing, but it's the closest comparison I could think of is like some fried catfish. You know what I mean? Like some I
I
don't know
do
if
like
I'm
some
sure you
fried
know.
catfish
Like,
now.
yeah, but it's not the same. Like don't anyone watching this, don't quote. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it's just that's the closest
That's the
American
closest
comparison.
thing. So if I like some fried catfish, I would probably like that.
Exactly, because it has like the seasoning, man. That's just it's something about the seasoning that's so good, and you put it with like some garlic sauce or like some tartar sauce, and
It's all
fire,
point.
man, fire. So I
Do you
love, yeah,
do
for
you
sure.
do the whole pickled herring and do you do
I've
it?
done herring a couple times. It's not something that
It's
I'm
not
a
something
big
you're just
fan
like,
of.
oh man, I can't wait till herring season.
Oh no, no, 100% not, 100% not, no. But I have done it for the cultural experience for sure. But Kipling is definitely one of my tops. Also, Stroopwafel.
Oh
Not
yeah, you
sound basic,
have to
obviously.
love that. It's impossible
Yeah, you
not to
can't go
like a
wrong.
stroopwafel.
Exactly, you can't go wrong with a fresh Stroopwafel, man. Super, super good. Um, and then also, I'm sure you're aware of like the term borrel.
Oro.
Borrel is
I've
like
heard it before,
so yeah.
but
Yeah, okay. So Bodo is like I'm saying like the Dutch way, but Borrel. I'm just say like English way, Borrel. Um, it's a concept basically where I mean the closest thing you could compare it to is like happy hour in the US, but it's not even that per se. It's kind of just getting with friends or even like coworkers after work or whatever the case may be, and then you just kind of have like all these fried snacks and whatnot. So the
yeah, I
dinner
know what you're talking about now.
yeah, yeah. So pretty much all the borough food is also something I just love, and just the vibe associated with like borough culture is just something that is really near and dear to my heart.
Do you still go
I
out to
would
like American places while you're there though? Like, oh man, I miss like a Big Mac or something. Let me go get McDonald's or
nah, to be honest, no. It's rare that I'm eating like American fast food or whatever. But I would say recently, oh man, like 3 weeks ago or so, I was with a friend in The Hague, and then we would just happen to pass by a Taco Bell, and
oh,
dude, when I tell
you
you, I
can't
was,
walk past Taco Bell, man. You gotta go in.
yo, when I tell you I was in heaven, man, oh my gosh, I was in heaven. Like every bite was just hitting crazy. So it's man, that was
You were
so good. And you
reminiscing
know,
at
Taco
Taco
Bell,
Bell.
you said what?
See, you were reminiscing at Taco Bell. Like, man, remember the
Oh
days?
man, nah. At Taco Bell, because I went to Arizona State for university, so there was like a Taco Bell right next to my campus. So that's always where we went to for our drunk nights after parties and whatnot. So it definitely brought back a lot of memories. But yeah, so those are some of my favorite Dutch snacks. I mean, there's definitely probably more things that would come to mind. I'm
so,
trying to think.
but you do eat
Oh, like,
mostly Dutch while you're there.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't even say that. Like when if I'm out at a restaurant or something, and yeah, fries is also a really typical Dutch thing, and I love having like Dutch fries. That's also really good to me.
Do you do it
Or
with the
if you have like,
mayonnaise though?
oh yes, of course,
No.
of course, yes, super good, man. The sweet sauce and the mayo and all that. Oh, heel lekker, heel lekker.
Oh my god.
So yeah, no, I'm definitely a fan. But in terms of like my typical diet, like I'm not like having like stamppot or something like every night, like those kind of typical Dutch meals. I eat pretty regular, let's say like pasta or like chicken and rice and stuff like that. But if the Dutch meals are around, then I'm not mad at it. Oh, also apple pie, man, apple pie. Yes, that's also one of my favorites out here. That's a really
Apple
typical Dutch
pie
thing that
out
will
there is your favorite?
yeah, man, so good. You
It's
gotta have some Dutch apple pie. It's funny because what we consider Dutch apple pie is not Dutch apple pie. Because all right, if I tell you Dutch apple pie, what are you thinking
you
of?
think about an apple pie with a crumble on the top of it.
Exactly. That's not Dutch apple pie.
What's
Like
the
the apple
difference
pie with
between a
like
Dutch
the
apple pie and an American apple pie?
so the Dutch apple pie, like the typical Dutch apple pie has like like the little layers on top. The apple pies with the little layers on top.
Yeah, like the lattice.
Exactly. That's like a Dutch apple pie.
So what we be eating as a normal
So
apple pie, like a lattice pie, is like a normal Dutch apple pie. What the hell?
yeah. So I don't know where we got the whole crumb thing as
Yeah,
being Dutch apple
but
pie.
you
I,
see,
I
we
don't
both knew it as the crumb at the top
No, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how I thought of it. But then when I moved there, I always got crap for saying that was Dutch apple pie. I
because
was like,
they
no,
even
that's
call
not
it a
Dutch apple pie.
Dutch crumble. Like,
Yeah, that's exactly what it's called. If you go to the grocery store in the US, it's called Dutch apple pie. So that's hilarious. But yeah, but no apple pie out here, man, is super, super good. So yeah, I'm sure there's more snacks that I'm probably missing.
what
But
about
those are some
sweets
like
from
things
back
that
home? Any that you're missing?
yeah, so I want to get to that. Man, honestly, one of the things that just crossed my mind, I think like 2 days ago it was, that I really, really miss is like a legit donut store, man. You know what
Just
I mean?
like a
Like a
pink
donut.
box donut store. Wait.
I literally want to say that. I literally want to say that. With the pink box, and you get like
Yeah.
total things in there, the twisted glazed donuts. All man, I swear that is something that the past couple of days I was like, they don't have that out here like
They don't
that. They
have
have
any
Dunkin'
good
Donuts,
donut shops at all up there.
yeah, Dunkin' Donuts, but come on, Dunkin' Donuts is
Dunkin'
not.
Donuts is just that's the place where you go when
Yeah,
there ain't nothing else around.
exactly, exactly. And I'm sure there's some donut store out here in this country. You know, I'm not trying to say it doesn't exist at all. I'm sure there's something, but it's not like in
It's
the
not like
U.S.
every other block in the U.S. where you see.
Exactly,
You know, I'm gonna go to my favorite
exactly.
pink donut store. I'm gonna get some.
That pink box, man. If I think about that pink box,
The
it's
pink
just
box is
that
where
brings
it's
back so
at,
many
man.
memories. Even Krispy Kreme, man. Even just a regular Krispy Kreme donut, man. That's something I for sure miss. We talking like snacks or sweets or whatever. I think honestly, if someone started like a typical donut store, like a typical American donut store out here in the Netherlands, it would go crazy.
Oh, it would
Like
probably,
it would
yeah, it'd probably be one of those ones where you got to be there in the morning, otherwise they're gonna sell out and you're done.
100%, 100%. This might be my new business venture now that I think about it.
I like it. I like it. Sam's Donuts. Let's do it.
Hey, well, hey man, there we go. There we go. And of course, like I mean, this is not per se snacks, but just obviously if I think about some of my typical fast food spots I love back home, In and Out, Cane's, Chick-fil-A,
Canes.
Chipotle, stuff like that. Cane's, man. Cane's is the truth. Cane's, I hope your subscribers look up Cane's afterwards because they the cane sauce, man. Oh my gosh. But the butter on both sides bread,
Oh,
whew,
you got to eat it, man. You can't get around it.
man, it's
There's some of
amazing.
my
It's
favorites
amazing.
now though that I'm learning that like you've heard of Wiener Schnitzel. You're from California.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Ain't got nothing Wiener Schnitzel to do with it now that I know about these foreign countries in Austria and Germany and I'm like, they actually get angry
Yeah,
when you call it Wiener Schnitzel. I'm like, I've always been Der Wiener Schnitzel since I was little. Like,
yeah, yeah. You know, we just be taking stuff and then
we
make it completely
misappropriate things for sure.
different.
This is mine. This is
Exactly, man.
congratulations. This is your Dutch crumble. Wait a minute.
Exactly.
Oh, let's see. Ronnie,
Exactly, man.
what else did Ronnie say? Sam, you already spoke to our king. What Dutch celebrity is next on your to-do interview list?
Great question. Yeah, I think it'd be super cool, for example, to talk to someone in the media industry or something. For example, like I don't know if you know the guy Humberto.
I've heard of
It's this
Humberto.
one guy. Yeah, he's like really like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a presenter, but also he has like his own like night show and everything. So for example, like having a one-on-one interview with him or something, or just kind of getting some more involved in like that media space, because I feel like that's something that I would love to explore more out here. Getting more connected there, you know, with television, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, someone big in the television scene, I think would be really, really cool. Something else I thought about, but this might be really controversial to say, but I'm gonna just say it anyways. But like one, for example, when I mean he still is the prime minister, but Mark Rutte, like having an interview with him, and not to like be on any kind of political side or whatever, but
Yeah,
just to have a
no,
conversation.
that makes sense. You don't got to pick
You
sides.
know what
I'm
I
going to
mean?
remain neutral in my interview.
Yeah, yeah. But then there's a new guy that was elected. I don't know if you heard about much about that, but it's really like a controversial figure that's been like elected. You know, depending on which side you're on. But nonetheless, like I think it would be really cool to have a conversation too, just to once again, just to talk, not picking any side, just to have a conversation and just kind
Yeah,
of learn more
pick
about
their brain a little
uh,
bit.
exactly, exactly. Because I mean, it's part of as well, like kind of me getting more understanding about what's going on in the country and just hear directly for the people. And I just feel like it'd be like a really interesting angle. You know what I mean? Like some foreigner
Yeah,
in
an
the country having
outsider.
this
Here we go.
conversation.
A third party.
Exactly.
I'm neutral
Yeah.
territory. Switzerland.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So those are some of the two things that come to mind. But yeah, I don't have at least anything right now in the works or anyone that I'm talking to right now. But I definitely could see that something happening sometime, hopefully in the upcoming months.
Okay.
In the
Let's,
media space, at least.
yeah,
Like in the TV,
the media
TV
people would be
space.
cool. Like, do you watch any Arjen Lubach?
Yeah,
He
yeah. I
would
watched
be an
this.
interesting one to pick
I
his
feel like it'd
brain.
that'd be a really good one. I actually got to write that down because I really like his show, man. I'm gonna write this down right
He
now
would
while it's
be
on
a
my.
genius at an interview because he could just argue with you about anything.
Yeah. Oh man, thank you. Thank you for that,
Absolutely.
man. Now if that video pops up, man, I gotta shout you out.
It would be very cool to see.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing though. Out here, to be honest, like considering, sorry, I got to burp real quick.
Are you good?
Considering the size of the country, and especially coming from the U.S., this might sound naive, but I feel everyone feels accessible to me, and I don't mean that like in some stalking, creepy way, but more so if you really want to go out and speak to someone, or if you really want to go out and like make something happen, if you really try to find the right people to contact, or you know what I mean, like figure out the right way to make it happen, then it's possible. Whereas in the U.S., say for example, I don't know, I want to go talk to Snoop Dogg or something. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
gonna be really
good luck.
hard to
Good luck.
yeah. Well, actually, I know people that know him personally, so I could probably make that happen. But let's just say like a normal celebrity though, that's a little difficult to come by. But I feel like here in the Netherlands, it's really not that
It's a lot more
like far
feasible.
for sure, for sure.
Cause like
And so
even
yeah, that's
like Glennis Grace, she's one of the big singers up there for the Ladies of Soul. She sent me a message on Instagram talking about, hey, did you know you're this big? And I'm like, hold on. You're
oh
not even you're just
no,
selling out stadiums. You're not even someone that I'm supposed to be able to get in contact with. Like in America, it just
wow,
wouldn't happen. Not unless you know somebody. Like
exactly,
you'd be
exactly,
lucky to get into the same room as some people in America. Up there, everyone really
exactly.
does seem more approachable, more ready
No,
to talk.
for sure. And two, like the whole concept, for example, of celebrity culture, that's not really a big thing out here. You know what I mean? If you're someone famous or whatever walking the street, I'm sure you've probably seen the videos like the prime minister on the bike and stuff like that,
Yeah,
or
just
just in
like
general.
a regular
Yeah,
everyday person.
exactly. Or in general, like just Dutch people that I know personally, like when I talk to them about, oh, if X, Y, and Z was walking by, like what would you do? And it's just kind of like, yeah,
I would
it'd be no
wave
big
and
deal.
say hi.
Yeah, yeah. Coming from California, especially coming from Los Angeles, that's
Yeah, that's a
celebrity culture.
no-go. Celebrities walk by
Yeah,
you, they don't say nothing to you. They normally surrounded by bodyguards. Hell.
exactly. Or people just kind of trying to swarm up to them,
Yep.
get a photo, all that kind of stuff. But out here, it's just, hey, it's another person. Maybe you're on TV more or whatever, but you're still just another person. So I really like that. I really like that.
That's freaking awesome. I would like to see
Yeah,
you do some interviews with some people because I know that you would ask some damn good questions as an outsider to the country. You would even ask some things
yeah.
that most Dutchies don't even think about asking. Like,
Yeah. So I mean that's an interesting thing with I talked earlier about actually I don't know if I was saying this when we were already recording or if it was before we started recording, but as I said with my channel, it's a bit all over the place sometimes, like sometimes I have a video where I'm doing like trivia on the streets, or I'm doing street interviews, or I'm doing a video where it's just me and I'm talking about a certain topic, or I'm doing an interview video. It's all over. But it's just different things that I really enjoy. So this interview space is something that I definitely would like to explore a little bit more, for sure. But I also recognize like on my channel, those are the interview videos that I've done are ones that don't perform so well. It's hard to like kind of keep an audience attention for those kind of videos. But nonetheless, if it's someone that I'm really, really interested in talking to, and I feel it's a really, dope topics we could dive into, then I would still go for it. I would do it.
absolutely. Why
Yeah.
not? Like, I think that it would make for a great watch. We would definitely help put some people over there for that because there are
No,
people
I
out there
appreciate
that
it,
are just constantly looking for, oh, I want to see a cool interview with someone that I want to know more about. It's just,
yeah.
if it didn't work, interviews would never be a thing. Like,
Yeah. No, that's facts. That's facts.
even if you interviewed some kind of comedians or something that made it funny or whoever it is, every story out there to me is interesting. I want to know about everybody.
Yeah.
Like, how'd you get where you're
Yeah.
at today? Like,
Yeah.
and I do like the
I mean,
random interviews on the streets because that takes some big ass guts to be able to walk up to random strangers and be like, "Can I film you from a YouTube video?" Like,
that's funny too, man, because it's just become so normal for me now. I mean, naturally, I'm very social. I think as I mentioned earlier, I'm not really afraid to talk to people or whatever. I remember even when I first started making my own videos, because at first I started the channel as a video podcast with a friend, but then after that, I transitioned into me just making my own videos. And I remember the first one I did out in public, I was feeling so weird, man. I was like, whoa, like I'm looking like some vlogger right now. Like
yeah, What
it
is
was so
this?
different. Yeah, it was so different, so new
I'm
for
not
me
the
and so
news.
strange. Yeah. You said what?
So I'm not a news anchor. What is this?
Oh,
Walking
yeah,
around the
yeah.
street.
Yeah, it was a really weird experience, but I quickly got just yeah comfortable with it, and now yeah, I'm at a place where if I'm just out with my camera, it's just nothing for me to just walk up to somebody and just be like, "Hey, do you mind if I ask you something for?" And I always tell people first too, like I'm not the kind of person that just walks up in your face with a camera and then just asks you something. I always tell people before I start filming, "Hey, I'm doing a YouTube video. This is the question I'm asking. Do you mind answering?" Blah blah blah. And if they say yeah, then I do it, and if they say no, then I just move on.
Do you actually get a bunch of people that say no? I think if anybody
Oh
ever
yeah.
asked me, I'd just be like, yeah, why not? Like,
Yeah, like it's not like an overwhelming amount of people I get to say no, to be honest. So that's nice. Or else it would make making some of these
it'll make
videos
it
like a
hard.
living hell. Yeah, it
Yeah.
would make it super hard. But they like surprisingly, a lot of people are quite open. Actually, I found that the time that I did a similar kind of video in the US in California, I was at like Venice Beach. And there was a lot of people that were telling me no, man. I was like at one point, like, damn, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to film this video today because I feel like a lot of people are just saying no. But eventually I started getting more yeses. But I mean, granted, it's a small sample size, but from what I experienced, I found it way easier
Yeah,
getting people
but
to say
It's
yes out
Venice
here.
Beach. There's people everywhere. It's crazy that
Yeah,
people would just be like, no, but you're out here walking around in skimpy shorts. Like,
no, exactly. If there's any place I would think I would get yeses, it's Venice Beach. So yeah, it was really surprising to experience and to see.
this is crazy. I'm glad that we do get the people to say yes. Shout out to all those people
Yeah,
because
but that's the thing though too, man. Whenever I do like the street interview videos, I always feel like the right people are the ones that get on. Because every time, like when I just start editing the video, I look back at the responses or just the vibe and interaction I have with the people in person. It just always feels like it was the right person that was supposed to be there. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Even for example, once again, when I look at the Venice Beach example I gave you, this was when I did a video, one of the first videos I dropped this year, where it was Americans responding to what Dutch people had to say about the U.S. and
Hmm.
Americans. Like, everyone I talked to in that video was just super dope. You know, just really great energy, had amazing responses, and it just really turned out being an awesome day. And so, yeah, that's also the mindset and energy I have when I go out to film, is that a no doesn't really for the most part, doesn't really deter me or like get me down because I just feel like if I just keep going, I'm gonna run into the right person or people that I
The
need
people that
to.
you
You
were
know what I
meant
mean?
to talk to. I totally agree with that.
Exactly, exactly.
Let's see.
Keep them
Ashton.
coming, man.
What's that?
I said, keep them coming.
All right. Ashton, did you gain any Dutch habits that you never want to lose wherever in the world you might live next?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm sure you heard the Dutch word gezellig,
Yeah.
right? So you know, like gezelligheid and all that kind of stuff. Was like this a way of describing like a certain vibe that you're having. And I think I've noticed for sure here in the Netherlands, for those, if anyone's watching that's like an American or non-Dutch person, basically the term gezellig, the closest translation to English is cozy, but there's a lot more nuance to that word. And it's just one of those things that you just, when you start getting accustomed to the language, you just feel like when you can use it or what it means. But let's just stick with the term cozy for right now. I've noticed that Dutch people find this cozy vibe and atmosphere in very small things. So for example, when you're out doing something, you can say, "Oh, this is gezellig." And for Dutch people, that could be something as simple as having a tea
Uh
with a
huh.
friend at a terrace, you know, or just being surrounded by friends and family, just having a nice conversation, or just going for a walk and the sun is shining. There's a nice fresh wind on your face. It's like, oh, this is so gezellig. You know what I mean? Like this is so nice. Like this is so good feeling.
Yeah.
It's hard to use English words to describe it, but you know what I mean?
It's those
And I
moments.
think
I know, they're like an overwhelming, like, oh man, just overwhelming calm moment. Like, I like this. This is how I'm
exactly,
supposed to be feeling.
exactly. And I think that's something I've become very in tune with while being out here is finding those moments of gezelligness or gezelligheid in these small moments of life. You know what I mean?
Learning how to
And
appreciate the
that's
small things.
exactly, exactly. And so, yeah, that's definitely something that whether I stay in the Netherlands or leave, like I always want to carry that with me. Just really appreciating those little moments in life. Because if you really think about it, that is life. Those are the moments that really make life. You know, it's not often that you're out on some extravagant vacation or doing some crazy experience. For the most part, we're just having very mundane, normal experiences in life on our day to day, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're not enjoying those things, if you're not really appreciative of those moments, then a lot of your life is just going by without you really being appreciative or happy for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I could, yeah, this is a long way to answer the question,
Nobody
but
makes
I think that's,
sense.
yeah.
Do you think that it's easier there to find it because we're not as here? I moved back to the States from Thailand, and everybody, every minute of every day's got somewhere they need to rush off and be, somebody they gotta see, something they gotta do. We're constantly busy.
Yeah.
We don't really take times for the small things here. Not once you're in
Yeah.
the go of things. Up there, I know that there's a
Yeah.
different work to life balance. Do you think that has anything to do with being able to find that kind of appreciation for the small things?
Yeah, for sure. I think, how would I say it? Because I've talked already about the level of planning and
Yeah.
yeah, how planned Dutch people are. So Dutch people, and I don't want to say Dutch people, just in general, people here in the Netherlands have very busy, occupied schedules for the most part. You know, they're also very busy, very active, etc. But I think the difference is that the difference in like pressure of in life, if that makes sense. In the U.S., at least from my experience or from people that I know, you know, close friends and family, all that kind of stuff, like you kind of have like this constant pressure throughout life of trying to make enough money to survive, or you know what I mean, or yeah, am I gonna be able to afford some surprise bill that's gonna pop up, or you know, healthcare costs, or what's gonna happen with my job if the economy goes down, all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like all these different stressors and worries that you live with on the day to day. That I think those things weigh on you makes it harder to appreciate those moments because you're constantly trying to survive. You're constantly trying
Yeah.
to
Get
make,
by.
you know what I mean?
Working my ass
Exactly.
off to barely get by. Oh, that's the mentality of most Americans. Like,
Exactly, exactly. Whereas here, and it's the case in a lot of European countries, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say like life is some kind of utopia or people don't stress or don't have problems. But nonetheless, I feel the stress is less than what I'm used to or what I experienced in the US. So that then gives you more space to be able to take in and appreciate those small moments. Does that make sense?
yeah, that makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
Let me see. Roloff says, "What do you miss from the USA besides family and friends, and obviously donuts?"
Yeah, yeah. So I talked about the food stuff already for sure, the donuts and some of the fast
Is there
food
anything that you just
spots.
think, man, I really wish like we had that up here? I don't know. I don't want to have to wait to go back.
Yeah.
Like,
So one of the things I'm sure you hear often when it comes to the negatives, some of the drawbacks of the Netherlands is the weather. And yeah, I'm gonna be frank, like it's obviously some people may over exaggerate it, but in general, it's not too over exaggerated, I would say, in the sense that yeah, it can rain quite a bit out here, and it could be quite gloomy outside of the summer. And so, as me, at least coming from California, because granted the U.S. is so big, so I can't say it's
yeah,
the
it's
weather is
not
literally
that way
California all over.
everywhere, but I know what you
Exactly.
mean with
But coming from
California.
yeah, but coming from Southern California, it was never a custom of mine to have to check the weather app each day to kind of have an idea of like what the rest of the week's gonna look like. You know, what can I plan this week outdoors because I don't know which day is gonna rain or not. You know what I mean? Or what times in the day is gonna rain, all that kind of stuff. Or just being constantly around kind of dark, gloomy weather that kind of makes you want to stay inside sometimes. You know, a lot
It,
of times you just have sun.
that kind of weather
Go
that
ahead.
makes every single body talk about the weather.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That. So that is definitely something that I find myself missing more and more the longer I feel like the first year or two I was out here, I was like, "Ah, you know, it's whatever, it's okay." But yeah, now, like, just finished my 3rd year going into my f like, now my 4th one. It's something that I think is I'm becoming more and more aware of that that is something that I miss, you know, because when I was back home back in November, literally and this is November, right? So it's not even per
Yeah,
se the most sunny time of the
yeah,
year.
no, not at all.
But I was at Venice Beach. I was at Venice Beach, man. Sun was just glistening. People were just out skateboarding or whatnot and playing basketball and just running and just vibing out with each other. And that same day, I was catching my flight. I left literally from Venice Beach to the airport, and I get back to the Netherlands, and it was just raining. It was just dark and gloomy, and I was
What
like,
the
"Damn!
heck?
Like this is definitely something. Quite a contrast, I would say." So yeah, weather's one thing. Um, I also, and it's not per se about the difference in the country. It's just my life setup. I don't have a car out here, so I'm taking public transport everywhere, which is a really nice thing. That's a pro. But there are times that I just miss driving the car and just playing my music and just vibing out in the car. Because
Yeah.
whenever I'm back home, in California, you gotta have a car. Like,
You
if
roll
you don't have a car in
around with the
California,
windows down.
exactly. That's something I miss. I'm trying to think of what else. I think in general, and I'm sure you know this, having lived in Thailand and everything, there are just certain times that you just want that level of familiarity that you just have with being in your home country. Where you don't have to think twice about anything.
Yeah,
You're
you just
just you're just
feel
kind of on
comfortable.
autopilot sometimes. Exactly, and just everything is just so second nature. I think sometimes I might miss some level of that. But it's also a pro. I also like that challenge of living abroad and having to constantly think and use my mind. But there's probably just some small moments where you're just like, I just wish I could just do this task or do
Yeah.
something without ever thinking twice about it.
That makes absolute sense. Like, there's just some
Yeah,
times where a lot of people have never lived abroad, have never left their home countries and stuff. But then when you do, you're constantly trying to fit in. You're constantly trying to make those changes, learn the language. There's so much that's going
yeah,
on with your personal situation that sometimes you just, man, I'm a little bit homesick. I just miss being able to
yeah,
go like sit on the couch and chill and talk to my
yeah,
boys. Like,
yeah.
I get that.
No, for sure, man. Sure.
Let's see. Dimfy says, "What are the things that were there any things that were disappointing to you when you moved, or did that came later and you were just like, oh man, or has it been an overall
Uh,
just a pretty good experience?" Like,
I think the story I just gave about the weather. I think that was one
well, yeah, I
thing
could
because,
see
as I
that
said,
being
when I
disappointing. I was
yeah,
disappointed
'cause
going from Thailand weather to back to California weather. I was like, God, it's always cold here in
really.
California. That's
Oh
because
wow, I didn't
that's
know.
just because that's like on the equator. You're always tropical. I rode my
Uh,
motorcycle for 8 years straight, every single day, rain or shine. But then you come back here and
wow,
it's like, oh, okay, the winter gets a little more cold than Thailand
yeah,
does, or this. So that I can see it being a disappointment. Now I'm back used to California weather, and there's other places where I would not like to be.
yeah. I feel that. Actually, speaking of though, but the winter in California, that is something that I recognize though that it actually does get a lot more chilly than what I remember. Like I remember, I was just thinking like, oh, okay, California's just warm all year long, but nah, during the winter it gets a little chilly out
It,
there
it
too,
it does
for
get a
sure.
little chilly. People when they think
Yeah.
about Venice Beach and they think about like things like that, you're like, always it never rains in California. Oh, that's a lie. It does rain, but you know about it in advance before it's gonna happen. Normally they'll be like, "Oh man, we got rain this weekend." It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
damn. And it's not like
It'd be like
a every week thing. Oh, we got rain every day this week. No, 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 no. It doesn't
yeah,
work that way.
yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I mean, in terms of things, it was like the question was, what am I disappointed in, right, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Were there anything that was disappointed to you when you were moving or that came later? I could see that being it.
Yeah, yeah, I think the weather is one of the main things that come to mind. Besides that, oh, I think also, and this probably gonna sound like being some kind of, I don't want to say childish or stuck up American or whatever, but I'm gonna say it anyways. And I kind of talked about this in one of my videos. It's kind of like the lack of ability to adjust outside of structure sometimes in this country. Uh, in the U.S., for example, or for example, out here, right? If you have some kind of customer complaint or something, it's gonna be very any kind of response you get is gonna be very like by the book. You know what I mean? It's really like either we can or we can't do something. That's really it. And if even if seems like such a simple adjustment or like, come on, I know that's not a big thing for you to go out and make this little change or to provide this extra little help for me or whatever. But if it goes outside of like the structure, then it's really seen as like, oh no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. One example, right? Like I ordered this bed and the delivery for this bed was supposed to be like the next business day. And it ended up being like 4 or 5 business days later. And I'm not complaining like, oh my gosh, it was the worst thing ever or whatever, you know. But nonetheless, in the US, you would typically think to call, be like, hey, the promise was one business day. It was X amount of days later. Is there any kind of compensation or any
Yeah.
kind of like small discount? You know what I mean? Like this. And once again, this is probably sound like some stuck up American, but this is just what I'm used to.
Yeah, we get
But out
used to our
here,
ways.
yeah, yeah. But out here, it's really like, no, like, I'm sorry, but yeah, these are our terms. It was still within an X amount of day window of the promised delivery date. So yeah, there's nothing we could do for you. But it's like, man, not even like a 5% discount or
You
something,
like
you
put
know,
me
for
out
the
for a week, and now there's
yeah,
nothing
I'm
you can
saying,
do
I was
for
like,
me.
this is an inconvenience that I had. You know what I mean? And that's just one example, but that's the concept that I'm referring to. Is just a lack of ability to be kind of flexible with the rules or the structure, which of course could be a good thing sometimes too, because keeps things a little bit, I guess, fair or just even or whatever. Um, but nonetheless, it's just sometimes I just think, is it really that much of a stretch? In one of the videos I made, one of the examples I gave was being at a restaurant and ordering something that has comes with like a fried egg, and
Uh
it's just
huh.
asking for the egg to be scrambled instead of fried, but then at getting denied that request. Like, no, we can only do it fried, not scrambled. And this is a real life example that I encountered. I was with a friend, and he had it was like a fried egg, and it's not like some crazy fancy restaurant where it's like, oh, the chef is very particular, blah blah blah. It was really just like some regular mom and pop
How hard is it to
type
just
cafe.
smash it up and throw it in the same
I'm
pan?
saying, I'm saying, but it was literally like, no, we can't scramble it. So stuff like that, I'm just like, come
See, and
on,
then I'll be
that's
looking on their menu to see if they actually have scrambled eggs on the menu. Because if you do, then you can damn sure scramble it for this meal too.
yeah, but yeah, that's those are some things that I ran into out here that are kind of disappointing, I would say.
Let's see. Kays says, was there anything that had to grow on you? Things that you didn't like when you got to the Netherlands, but you started to appreciate it more and more?
Um, things that grew on me. Great question. Hmm. Now, I would say I feel like I'm using a lot of the same themes or examples, but I would say to an extent, I do as much as I've talked bad about the planning thing. I think to an extent, I do also appreciate it in the sense of it does give me at least some sense and like some kind of clarity about what my week's gonna look like. And it doesn't even have to be like planning with because as I said, I was someone very spontaneous. I was really just like, let's just be waking
Whatever the
these
day
days, see what the
brings, the day brings. I was the same way.
exactly. But I recognize, you know, with having a 9 to 5 and then having the YouTube and then having like obviously like my personal life, friends, all that kind of stuff. Other little hobbies I'm into, like I also do salsa dancing, practicing Dutch, practicing Spanish, like a lot of things I have my hands involved in, you know. Uh, and it's not really feasible, or I know feasible is not the right word, but it doesn't really make sense to just not have structure to my life and to my days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then it just becomes too chaotic. So once again, I don't like to be super planned to where I know my schedule for the next 2 to 3 weeks and every single
Yeah.
day what I'm gonna be doing. I don't want that, but I do like to have some level of at least like a couple of days, a week in advance, or maybe even like one day, 2 weeks in advance, whatever. Where okay,
Well,
this is
even
what's
us for
happening
this
that day.
interview, we juggled it back and forth a
Yeah,
couple times just to make sure that, okay, yeah, over here is good for both of us.
exactly. And yeah, I apologize for
Oh no, you're
the
good. I was the same way. I was like, oh, I don't know how we'll juggle it back and forth, and I'm totally cool with
yeah,
that because I have
yeah.
my life is open. I don't have that schedule yet. Like I got my Google Calendar. I got that for requests,
Yeah.
and that's about as scheduled as it gets. People are like, "What are you doing on Tuesday?" Right now, nothing. Like Tuesday's not
Yeah,
here. I can't
yeah.
even tell you what I ate for dinner 2 nights ago. But I think if my life was more structured, it also gives you a purpose to get up each day. Like, oh, I gotta do something today. Like,
Exactly. And I think one of the points I wanted to tie to was that once again, with having all these different things that I have going on and involved, and it really allows me to effectively go about all of them. You know what I mean? Because if it was just being spontaneous each day, then I would just be getting lost in the shuffle, and I'm probably not really progressing in all these different areas in the way that I would like to. You know, But now I really could have some kind of idea, like, okay, this day is be dedicated for this, or this hour to be dedicated for this, or whatever the case may be, and it allows me to properly fit everything into my life. So I think once again, as much as I kind of talk bad about the whole planning thing, to an extent, it is also something I really appreciate and something that I really had to adapt into my lifestyle out here.
Now I'll ask quick. Do you want to take a pee break or anything?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, I'm just making. Some people like to,
You
some
good?
people
You
don't.
good?
Kay has also said, "Is your mother coming to visit you for a second time anytime soon?"
I think we had like a small conversation about that last year, sometime towards the end of last year, but it's not at the moment. No, nothing is planned, but
Nothing
that
is
would be really
planned.
great to have her. Yeah, yeah, nothing's planned at the moment, but
It's
it would
cool
be
that
great
you
to
got
have
her
her.
up there at least once, though. I think that's awesome. I would have
Yeah,
loved to have been
yeah,
able to show my mother Thailand. It just never was in the. It was never in the cards, really. So the fact that you got her up there,
uh,
that's really cool. Like, mom, you
yeah. It
gotta
meant a
come
lot
check
to me
this
to have
out.
her out. Yeah, it meant a lot to me to have her out here, and yeah, that video that I made with her is one of my favorite videos, if not my favorite video that I've ever done. Something super super special to me. So, and all the love I got on that video was insane, man. It really really meant a lot. All the comments and everything that people left behind on that. So, yeah, if anyone's watching this that watched that video, thank you for the love and support you showed on that.
Let's see. Roy Klein says, "I want to know if he's planning to stay in the Netherlands for the rest of his life or move somewhere else someday, and will it be in the
Now
states
the
or to
rest,
some other country?"
yeah. Now the rest of my life is that's quite
That's a lot.
intense.
That's a big plan to make. Let me write that in the calendar.
Yeah. Yeah, I could genuinely say I cannot answer that question. I don't know the answer to that. But my mindset right now is at least for sure the upcoming years, the next few years, and then obviously reassess from there. You never know what takes place with family, all that kind of stuff.
True.
Just like personal things that go on in life, that
Well,
make you kind
it
of have
takes
to reevaluate.
sacrifice to live abroad. It really does. You sacrifice a lot of things to be able to do it.
Yeah,
And at a certain
yeah,
point, you got to weigh out the priorities in life. So different things pop up. I can see that being a good answer. Like, who
exactly.
knows?
Yeah,
For the
yeah,
foreseeable future, you're in the Netherlands.
exactly. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. Martin Webb Nature says, "What was the biggest positive culture shock when you came or spent some time in the Netherlands that maybe they didn't have in the state? Like, was there anything that just stopped you dead and you were like, I wasn't ready for that?"
Mm,
But you had
oh,
visited before you moved anyway, so
yeah. I
some of
visited
that
before.
culture shock would have been worn off by then, I would assume.
Yeah, like yeah, by the time I moved out here, it was definitely not a feeling of like, oh my gosh, where am I? You know what I mean?
Plus,
Like
you're
I
in a
had,
relationship with a Dutchie, so
yeah, yeah. So you kind of just already have a bit of an idea of what the vibe in the country is like. So yeah, in terms of like from day one of moving here, it's kind of hard to answer that.
yeah.
I just think some of the culture shocks I already touched on so far in this interview, I think, are some of the things that may come to mind.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, nothing. And maybe if something else comes to my mind later on, I'll mention it. But for right now, yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add to that question that I haven't already spoken about so
Okay.
far. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Khaber Pinda says, "Did you already try ice skating in the winter like the Dutchies do?"
Yeah, I did that.
Can you ice skate? I
My
can't ice
first year.
skate to save my life. I need one of those little
Really?
things that you got to hold on to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not like really good or anything, but I could do it. I could stand up and skate around, but I'm not gonna be like going backwards or something like that. But only the first year, my first year here, when I was living in the south of the Netherlands, I did that. But beyond that, no, I haven't done it again. I wanted to actually do a video this year about winter in the Netherlands and kind of showing like the whole vibe of people ice skating and whatnot. But the idea popped in my mind a little later in the season, and by that point, it was not really as icy anymore. So yeah, maybe next year.
Let's see. Jeffrey says, have you gone to any programs there in the Netherlands? Jeffrey is a guy that he likes to.
I know who this is.
You
This
know who
guy I always
Jeffrey
run into.
is.
Yeah, I ran into him like 2 times. It was, the first time was there's a show out here called Khalid and Sophie or Khalid and Sophie. It's like a night show basically. And then yeah, the guy came up and was like, "Yo, I know you from YouTube, and like I know you from like Hiley's channel, and whatnot." And I was like, "Oh, this is crazy." And he was like in the Discord chat, like telling people like, "Yo, Sam's here," blah blah blah. So that was crazy. Um, so yeah, okay. He asked what was the
He
question
said
about
he said
programs?
what's the coolest program that you've been to since you've been in the Netherlands? Like, what did you have the
I
most fun?
recently there's a show out here called First Dates. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but
I've
it's called
not
First
heard of
Dates.
it.
Okay, so basically it's like a blind date that happens at a restaurant. And it's a really fun like for me it's a really funny program. And it was something that really helped me with learning Dutch when I first moved here. I was watching the show like almost every single day. And it's really nice because you see Dutch being spoken in just a very casual like date environment, you know? So you
Yeah.
really get to see and hear yeah, just the casual way of speaking the language, but also they have people from all the different regions in the country, so you kind of hear the different accents, etc. So it quickly became one of my favorite shows. Actually, the host, there was a former host for the show who I did an interview with him beginning of last year, and that was like a really like a highlight for me on my channel. And I just recently, like literally last week, was like in the background, like because they also have just like background people like on a date, but just having dinner, you know,
Yeah.
and it was a really cool experience to just kind of see the set and everything, and then
So a whole
meet
bunch
the
of
new
people
host.
in the audience are just sitting around a couple in a restaurant.
No, so like no, you're not. It's not even an audience. It's just there's a set that's just like a restaurant. Let's say that's a set, and then they have people that are there that are actually going to be on television for the dates. They're mic'd up and everything. But then they have other people that are also like on a date having dinner, but they're not mic'd up. They're just in the background just to have the feeling of a restaurant type vibe. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. But it was really fun experience.
That's really cool. I'm sure Jeffrey's gonna
Yeah.
love that. Let's see. Rilana81 says, which season of the year do you enjoy the most in the Netherlands? What's your favorite
Summer
season?
without a summer without a doubt. Summer in the Netherlands is just like it's such a magical experience. Everyone just outside on the terraces, having a wine, having a beer, or whatever. Like the sun is out until almost 11 p.m. It's just
Phew.
such a nice vibe, man. Yeah, it's the sunsets are amazing too during that time. There's a lot of festivals going on, especially here in Amsterdam. There's like a lot of like parties, different festivals and whatnot. A lot of outdoor activities. It's just such a special vibe, I would say. It really feels like a whole different country during the summer. People just jumping in the canals and swimming and everything.
Have you
It's
jumped in any canals?
I've never jumped in the canal, no, but I've jumped into like
I
the
don't
like
blame
rivers
you,
and whatnot.
first of all, because I've heard too
Yeah,
much
no,
about the
yeah,
canals.
that's a little too nasty for me. I'm keeping it real. I don't think I would. I'm not taking it that far. No.
What about like polar bear swimming in the winter? You gonna run out in the water or no?
I mean, wait, like if a black polar bear is chasing me, you saying, or
No, like to just run out in the freezing cold water like they do.
nah, that's also I'm gonna pass on that as well. Like the New Year dive and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
you're not doing
Yeah,
it?
nah, I'm okay on that one, man. I'll watch the videos, but you won't find that video on my channel. I'm sorry. That's I'm not the channel for that.
Let's
But
see.
yeah, summer is definitely one of my favorite times out here in the Netherlands. Sorry, my nose is running.
Oh, you got.
um, and then I mean, winter is nice as well. I'm just not a big winter fan for like a long stint amount of time, but I do like the Christmas vibe and all that kind of stuff when that's going on in the country. That's also really nice. But if I had to choose a season, for sure would be summer.
Hell yeah. I'm a summer
Yeah,
person myself. I prefer being hot over being cold any day of the week.
yeah, I feel that, man.
Let's see. Are there any plans on kids in the future for Sam? And if so, where
As
would you
a
be raising them?
kids, I mean, definitely in the future. I'm opening. I'm not like someone that's like,
You're
no, I don't
still a
want
young
kids.
guy.
Like,
You got plenty of time.
yeah. I'm not in a rush for that right now. So, but in the future, yeah, I'm open to that. And I mean, where would I raise them? Yeah, I think
Wherever you're at.
similar to what we talked about earlier. Yeah, wherever I'm at, I can't say definitively like, oh, here or there. Yeah, but if I'm being frank, if I do think about raising a kid in the U.S., it is something that scares me sometimes when I think about some of the gun violence in these schools and stuff like that. Like just being real, that is something that crosses my mind of like, damn, like.
I'm the
I
same
would bring the
way.
kids to school. Yeah,
People from up there don't like. A lot of people from other countries don't realize that it's not just a pretty place to be. In some places in America, it gets pretty violent. Like that's what I was gonna.
yeah,
That was one of my questions. Like, how does it feel living in a country where you know you're absolutely safe?
yeah. I mean, obviously anything can happen anywhere, so I'm not
But you know,
trying
like for
to.
the most part, you know, I'm not gonna. No one's gonna walk up to me and shoot me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely. And I had first experienced this when I did study abroad. Actually, when I was in Spain, it was like my first time just really feeling like. And granted, once again, anything can happen
Yeah,
anywhere. But
anything can happen
in that
anywhere.
moment, in that moment, like when I first started experiencing European countries and whatnot, I genuinely felt like, whoa, like I could just be out and about any time of the day. I could walk anywhere in the city. I don't think twice about who's around me or where I'm going. Like I really felt like I was in some kind of utopia. And obviously, you then kind of snap it back a little bit and recognize you still got to be aware of your surroundings. You can't
Yeah,
just, there are certain areas perhaps you don't want to be at in the city or whatever the case may be. But nonetheless, coming from the US, it's like being born in LA, uh, having family members in certain cities, certain areas that are quite dangerous. You know, hearing some of the stories that happen in the country. Like when you come from that experience and that background, and then you come to some of these places out here in Europe, you're just like, it feels like night and day. You know what I mean? So it is quite surreal sometimes, just the perception of safety and how you experience your safetiness out here compared to being back home in the US. Like whenever I go back home, especially if I'm like in the mall or like any kind of crowded place, man, my alertness is like on a
that
thousand, man.
that's me.
Yeah, I mean, even for example, what happened at the Super Bowl parade. Like, I don't think I would even be able to make it to that kind of parade because I
No,
would be afraid of a situation like that happening, you know? And
I didn't
man,
even
it
go see
happened.
Star Wars when it came out in the movie theater because there was too many people, and
Yeah,
that makes it a target. And I was like, no.
I feel you on that. I feel you on that. Like after not trying to make this a really depressing conversation now, but just keeping it real after the what had happened with the Dark Knight
Yeah,
premiere. After that happened, like it really became hard for me to go to the movie theater in the US. Like I was really super paranoid about going to the movie theater because I was just like, what if someone just pops in here and just starts going off? You know what I mean? Just starts shooting.
yeah,
So
you
those
don't
are
want to be a
things
part of
that
that. But it is
exactly,
something you
exactly.
actively have to think about when you live here, and it's like to go to
Yeah,
a place like that where you wouldn't have to think in that security mindset. For me, would be weird. I was in the Marine Corps, and then I did 6.5 years in Afghanistan, and then I went over and I did the Thailand thing. But here, listening to the police scanner and all of that, it really will make you go crazy to hear the amount of crime
yeah,
that's going on. So for me, they're like, oh, wait, when you get to a place where it's actually safe, you're not going to know what to do with yourself. And I can see that in my mind. Like, I don't know if I'd ever actually be able to let my guard down, which is weird.
yeah. I mean, honestly, you do kind of get to a place where you do. I mean, as I said, I'm still in in a how would I say in a rational sense aware of my surroundings and all that. I'm not just completely naive. But your guard definitely gets a little bit more down compared to how it is when you're back home. And I think it just naturally happens when you find yourself being in a space where you just recognize, like, oh, a lot of those crazy things that happen back home that are just normal is not per se a norm here. So then you feel like maybe it could be a little bit more ease, you know, or at ease, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be a lovely thing to be able to just, I'm safe. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's a lot of people
yeah,
here don't feel that way at the moment. And it's a lot,
yeah,
even coming back to my hometown and looking around like, this is not the place, the beautiful place that I grew up in. This is something
yeah,
wholeheartedly different now.
yeah.
And it's, I don't know,
Dang.
for me, the safety thing is so strange. Like, oh, I can actually walk around at night without worrying about somebody shooting me. Like,
Yeah, it's really surreal, man. It's really, yeah, unfortunate that that's something that is a reality for many, many Americans or all Americans
yeah,
to that point. Yeah.
it's become something for sure. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's one of the draws of up there. It's like, okay, I won't have to be paranoid all the time. Like,
Yeah.
let's see.
Yeah.
Anna Lee B says, I would like to know from Sanyo what the reason it was that he came to the Netherlands and not another country. Like, what made you choose there? Was it just finding the job there and having the significant other from there, or?
Yeah, it was the relationship that was to be frank, Netherlands would have never been on my list of places to move to if it wasn't for her. So yeah, that's really what it came down to. And then the job was, I mean, granted, I still wanted to pursue my career and all that, but to be frank, like that was a means of getting over here. So like, luckily, I was able to come over here in a way where I was still able to work, still able to continue forward in my career. But at the same time, the mission was to be here with the Dutch girl.
It makes sense. We
Yeah.
oftentimes follow our significant others wherever they want to go.
Yeah.
Let's see. Alexia says, we already pretty much answered the how'd you go about planning to come to the Netherlands. Is there anything from your planning your first visit to the Netherlands that Hailey can learn from?
Well, you already had a jump start on the language so far, so I
Yeah.
think that's a great plus. And you got a community already, man. Through like a big community. Community is an understatement. You have probably a little town you could build out here if you wanted to. And so I think leveraging that, uh, I mean, you got people from all the different corners of the country. So just tapping in with them and, putting out some questions of, when I come, like, where should I hit in your area? And then kind of from there gauging or trying to create an itinerary, I guess you could say, of like the different places you want to go to. That's what's awesome is when you have a local connection, you can really look beyond the typical things that people are going to recommend. Because
Yeah,
obviously,
because
if
I
you
don't want to
Google
come there
what
and do all
food
the touristy stuff. I want to come there and see what life is like. Like,
exactly, exactly. And the best way to do that, man, is to really just be tapped in with the people that really live here and that really live in places beyond the big cities. And I'm not trying to say the big cities you shouldn't go to; they're great as well. And if you have people in those areas as well, like taking hints and tips from them, but just kind of getting like a diverse view. Big cities mixed with, in Dutch you say dorpjes, which is like small little villages, mixed with like the in between cities, all that kind of stuff. So that's another tip I would give. And then what else? I mean, in general, and I'm sure you're already aware of this, having had lived in Thailand once again. But my whole thing about when I travel to a place or when I move to a place is just being open minded for whatever that country has to offer. Like really not trying to have any kind of preconceived notions or bringing back the mindset from wherever I was living and expecting to have the same kind of experience or the same kind of things. Like no, I just want to show up and see what it's like out here, and I'm gonna just take it for what it is, and try to embrace the things that connect with me, and the things that don't, then they don't, and it is what it is. But I think that's something that I recognize for people that struggle sometimes when they visit a new place is that they go in with a certain expectation, and then when that expectation is not met, then it's like, oh, it sucked there, or, or
yeah.
this place is terrible. Instead of just being open to whatever the place has to offer, and granted, you still might not like it, but just at least go into it more open minded. You know what I mean? But I don't think that's anything you would struggle with. I think you'll be
No,
perfectly fine with that.
that was me over there too. There's a lot of things when I first got to Thailand. I said, you know what? There's some things there that in America, we're very cleanly minded when it comes to food and things like that. And there, they got the markets that sit outside and the meat sits outside in the sun all day. And I'm like, okay, but if it doesn't kill them and they've been doing it this
Mhm.
way for years, why wouldn't I try it? And then doing that made me
Yeah.
realize exactly how much food we waste in America. Because they
Yeah.
eat a lot of the things that we just throw away. I always try to keep as open a mind and get as immersed with people as possible. When I moved to Thailand, I barely
Yeah.
spoke to any foreigners. I had all Thai friends that would speak Thai to me, and that's how I learned the language faster than anything else. Like,
Wow.
so I think that would be the coolest part. Like, let me just get there, dive in as deep as the water goes, and just absorb it all.
Yeah.
Cause
Yeah. That's actually really interesting because to be frank, when I think about countries like that, for example, I think about India and I see like all the street food in India. I'm just keeping it real. I'm like, I don't know if I can eat that.
yeah, that's the
And I know
way
that
that
might
I was. I was
contradict what I
like,
just
I
said
don't know.
earlier.
I'm about to put this in my mouth. I'm eating a bug. Like we
Yeah.
would, but then you try it and it's like, okay, this could sustain you. I haven't died yet. The way I looked
Yeah.
at it over
Yeah.
there was, as long as there's a line of people for the food, You know that the food is probably safe to eat, regardless of what it is, regardless of how it looks, regardless of the sanitation behind it. People over there preparing with their hands. No one's dying. They're all lining up. It's got to be good food. And then when you try it, it's freaking amazing. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe we didn't have something like this in the States. Those are the things that I'm looking forward to in any new country now that I visit. Like, I want to find the things that back home we'd be like, hell no. Granted, Ronnie from the Discord, he said over in Germany they eat that, or they eat like pork pate and stuff, and you would never dream of eating nothing pork that was raw in America or rare or no. Our poultry's got to be all the way cooked. Our things like that have got to be. I'm not eating no raw nothing but over there they're like, oh yeah, raw pork, undercooked pork. They eat it, and I'm like, certain things I don't know if I could do it, but I would be willing to try.
I think in Scotland they have something with like the intestines, right, or something like that.
Yeah, haggis and
See,
See, there's some things that I just had to learn.
But yeah, there's certain boundaries, I think.
There's some things that maybe my mom would look at and she'd be like, "What the hell?" Like a chicken wing in Thailand. You know the little tiny point on a chicken wing? They sell whole plates of just that, and I'm like, there ain't even no meat on that thing. We normally throw it away, but over there they sell like a whole plate. That's people's favorite piece of the chicken. And I'm like, what the hell?
Wow, that's interesting.
So I want to go there. I want to try some foods, even though I'm a picky ass eater, and I don't like nothing with onions. And they love a lot of onions up there for some damn reason. Onions on their freaking Del Special. Onions on the.
Yeah, I'd say onions are pretty big here for sure.
Are there any foods that you don't eat?
Foods that I don't eat.
Are you a picky guy, or you pretty much eat everything, vegetables and all that?
And how do I say it? I don't want to say I'm picky per se, but I'm not just I'll eat anything. I kind of have a good idea of what I do and don't like. So if I see something or like a certain ingredient, whatever, I just know I'm just not really vibing with it. Then I'm just like, yeah, I'm sorry. But I try to be a little open minded, but I'm not like.
So you're not against trying new things.
No, I'm not against trying new things, but once again, if it's like a certain ingredient, I'll at least even like taste a little bit. But if it's just something if after a first bite, I'm just like, nah, this is not it, then it's just not it. For example, something out here that I just know I'm never gonna convert to is the black licorice taste. That's never gonna be a thing.
Oh my God! So you're not a black licorice fan either?
Hate it.
Every piece of drop that they've sent to me has been spit back out into a napkin.
That's the most. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's just disgusting to me. And I've been that way since I was a kid. I remember I was a kid when I accidentally had black licorice. Well, I don't know if it was accidentally, but it was just all I knew was like the Twizzlers, like the red Twizzlers, and it was like a black Twizzler. I'm just thinking nothing of it, and then it was like the black licorice taste, and I was like, oh, this is the nastiest thing ever.
So no salmiak ice cream for you.
Oh, definitely, definitely not. So yeah, any kind of drop stuff is a no for me. That's a no.
Y'all heard it right here. Sam don't like drop. Don't be sending him no drop.
No, not at all. It might take my ability to ever apply for residence permit out here just because of that, but
they might. They might get you because they all love it for some ungodly reason. It makes no sense. Yeah, I think they're born with different taste buds than we are.
Something. What else have you had? Because you get sent stuff quite often.
I've had
something else that you have.
I did not like this yelpy flavored potato chips. I don't like that. It's supposed to taste like the fry sauce, but the whole bag smells like ungodly hellish mayonnaise. I don't do mayonnaise anyway. And they're like, oh, you gotta try the Dutch mayonnaise. It's not the same as Hellman's mayonnaise. Everyone up there apparently hates American mayonnaise, but they love their Dutch mayonnaise.
Yeah.
I've tried it on the frikandel, but I did my frikandels with the onions, even though I hate onions, and that had to come back right back out. I can't do no raw onions or nothing.
But where did you put the frikandel?
Thailand had a Amsterdam bar, and they had a whole bunch of frikandel and what else did they have?
That's hilarious.
They had a whole bunch of stuff out there. Croquettes and
croquettes. I love croquettes, man. Croquettes is so good. Shrimp croquette. That's like one of my favorite things.
That's your favorite?
Yeah, that's one of my favorites for sure. Shrimp croquette.
Let's see.
Part of the bowl food.
So I've had quite a few snacks. There's more that they're planning on sending over. There's some that I'm gonna buy online. There's a Dutch online store over here, but just to get so I can start getting my taste buds ready for a trip as well. Cause me going to a new
Yeah.
place always ends up with me being at McDonald's at least once a week. Like,
We can't have that happen, man. We can't have that happen unless we go with Taco Bell. We can do Taco Bell
we're
together, but you
definitely
can't
gonna
do
hit up Taco Bell together when I get there. You
I'm
and
with
I are
that. I'm
gonna
with
have to
that.
get together.
Most
Let's
def, man. Most def.
Cynthia, did you have any preconceived notions before moving to the Netherlands that turned out to be true, and or other ones that turned out to be false? Obviously, the whole Amsterdam thing, right? That it's
Yeah.
not
Okay. So yeah,
just the Netherlands.
for
Oh,
sure.
it's
Even though,
Holland, the country, Holland. Wait, what?
yeah, yeah. Don't say Holly. The Dutch person's gonna be really mad at that. Oh, actually, they say it themselves though.
They
They're speaking
do
English
say it,
sometimes.
and then I'm like, "How you gonna
Yeah,
tell me not to say it, but you're gonna turn
yeah.
around and say it?"
Even I think the official the tourism website of the country is like Holland.com, I believe, or something like that. So yeah,
You do it
but
to
I know the
yourselves,
distinction.
Dutchies.
Exactly, exactly. Um, things that are not true or preconceived notions. Once again, I think the weather was a preconceived notion that I had about the weather being bad, which has definitely kind of fulfilled
It's
itself,
kind
I
of
would
turned
say.
out to be true.
Yeah, for sure. One that I feel is kind of like in the middle, and I think, yeah, maybe if you go watch my videos, it kind of seems like I'm back and forth on this, but the whole Dutch and direct thing, that's something that you're gonna hear all the time. Of course, like one of the stereotypes about Dutch people, but I think some people think of it in a super extreme way. I think some people think that a Dutch person is gonna just tell you like, "Oh, you look fat," or "Oh, your outfit is terrible," or you know what I mean? It's just like just say like the most rude but speaking my mind kind of things in the world without any kind of filter. It's not is at least on a normal, let's say on an average basis, it's not like that. You know
It's
what I
more
mean? I think
being
people
legit
are
and truthful, whether you want to hear it or not.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. But it's not like gonna be just some super like every day you're just hearing like the most outrageous opinions from people or people just so direct where it's just wow, there's zero filter. I don't think it's to that level, but it definitely is more, especially coming from the US, it is more direct than what we're used
Over
to. So
here,
I
we
think that was kind
sugarcoat everything. We want everybody to feel happy and
of
cozy, and
yeah,
nobody
try
speaks
not to
their
offend
mind.
people as much as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah, try not to yeah.
my Dutchies in the
Um,
Discord, they're direct, but there's some people that believe that that Dutch directness, they use it as a cover for just being a dickhead, and I haven't
yeah.
witnessed that. I haven't seen that
You do
myself.
have those people. I would say you do have those people, and I definitely notice it sometimes in my comments where I could tell people are just they're trying to say something under the mask or the guise of like, "Oh, I'm just being direct, I'm just being honest." It's like, "No, I know you're putting a little extra on it."
It's
You know
like
what I mean?
saying, with
But
all due respect, you're an asshole.
exactly,
It doesn't work.
exactly. But it's okay. It's okay, you know, if I put anything online, I'm open for any kind of feedback or criticism, so it is what it is. I'm
Yeah,
not, you
we're
know
putting ourselves out there. It's bound to come. I don't understand people that get upset by the upset in the comments sometimes. I just pass over
Yeah,
it.
yeah. No, I really when I started this, I really had the mindset of like I'm gonna get some shitty comments, I'm gonna have some people that disagree, or I'm gonna have, some things that might not be nice to read, but it is what it is. And I don't know, I think there's only like one person ever on my channel. It'd be really funny if they're watching this. I'm not gonna like say any names, but there's only like one person that I think I had to block from my channel. And I never wanted to do that, but there was like one person where it was just like it just felt the trolling was just too obvious. It just got to a point where I
Now
was
you
just
made me feel like a dick. My block list is so long, it's not even funny.
hey, I'm
Looking
not
like the
mad at you,
phone
man. I'm
book.
not mad at you. Oh man. No, I mean, I think to be frank, generally speaking, people say like either really nice things or sometimes there is critique and feedback, but like, okay, I could take that, I can handle that. But one person just was just doing the most, and I was like, all right, you know what?
You're too
You gotta
over.
go.
You gotta get out of here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let me
But
see.
can I blow my nose real quick?
Yeah,
That's
have
okay?
it. Go ahead.
All
Oh,
right.
all right. So Cynthia also had another question. Another one. What are your thoughts about distance? For instance, when I was in the US, I didn't think twice about driving 2.5 hours to go see a friend, 2.5 hours there and 2.5 hours back. Whereas if you asked me to go to see a friend in Groningen and I live near Rotterdam, I'd have to think about it, and most likely I'd make it an overnight trip.
Yeah, so that's definitely a difference of coming from the US and then living here. As I said earlier, this is such a small country, so uh, and as I also said earlier, everything's relative, right? So for people out here, a 30-minute drive is equivalent to like what we think of like a 2-hour drive or something like that, or an hour and a half drive. And so I definitely recognized when I first moved here that when I would have conversations with people or when it came to making plans in certain cities, it was like, oh, that city's like 45 minutes away. Like that's like a whole trip. But we got to really, plan for
we
that
got
in advance.
we got to pack snacks
Or
for
it's
the
like,
road. What?
yeah, it's really like that's a whole thing. Whereas for me, I'm like, that's just something you just on a Saturday, you just wake up and say, oh, I'm gonna just go right now. I'm hopping in the car. Even like,
Yeah.
for example, coming from where I'm from, driving to San Diego was like 2.5 hours or so. That's just something you can just easily do on a Saturday, no
We used to
questions
do that
asked.
every
And
weekend when I was in the core station in San Diego. We used to drive up to Hollywood every weekend. Like, okay, let's go.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, and then also even with my work, like the first job I had out here, first it was in Eindhoven. I was living in Den Bosch, which was not far. It was about like 20 minutes or so. But then I was living in Den Bosch and I was working in a city called Rijswijk, which that's about with public transportation, that was about like an hour and a half commute, hour and 45 minutes, something like that. But that still was granted, that's not like per se a short commute for work. Even the US is not like just nothing. But it wasn't like the end of the world for me either. But for out
Yeah.
here, that's considered like, yo, you're tripping. Like an hour plus for your commute to work. Like, who are you? You know what I mean? And I do feel like now though that I am getting more used to the distance relativity. Did that make sense? Like
Yeah.
how it is out here, how it's in the US. I feel like now if I think about an hour plus, that's now seems like a whole operation for me, or it's starting to feel like that. Whereas before, when I first moved here, it was like, yo, that's nothing.
Well, hell, man, when you
So,
get back to the States, you're not even gonna want to run to the supermarket. Nah, man,
and
that's too far away.
no, it's crazy because when I was back in November, dude, I was literally easily spending like almost felt like I would say easily around like 3 hours per day on average in the car,
Traveling.
easily. And yeah, traveling, just like going back and forth from LA because I now my immediate family doesn't live in LA anymore. They live in the city, like more in the suburbs. So to get to LA takes about an hour plus with traffic. But so that drive in itself, just getting to LA, that's already about 2 hours and 2.5 hours, or close to 3 hours, whatever the case may be. And then you have the driving within LA, which with traffic, even going a 5 mile distance could take about 25, 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So you add up all the time you spend in the car, you easily get to 3+ hours in a day. But that was normal for me. That was, that's back home. That's normal there. But out here, if you spend that much time in the car, it's like that's insane.
It all
You're
depends
really
on
doing
where
something.
you're at. When you're in the Netherlands, you don't
It all
want to
depends where
travel
you're at.
far. When you're in the States, you have to travel far. So you don't really think
Yeah.
about it. I don't think. Like
It-
it's a bewildering Twilight Zone shit. And then you get up there and everyone's like, "No, that's so far away." Far away.
yeah,
I can
yeah.
drive across your country in like this short amount of
Like
time.
3 hours,
We be out of here.
almost 4 hours or so. Yeah.
People, I don't
Yeah. It's
think
it's it's
until people like are actually there though. I don't think you ever actually realize how big or small something is. The map, cool. You can look at a map all day. It's still
yeah.
it still doesn't do it justice. Like, oh my god, now let's put this country inside of this country and see how many we can fit, because there's going to be a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Netherlands as a whole is around like 18 million people, and California itself is like what 30 something, 36, I think, or
It's
almost,
yeah,
right?
it's insane.
Yeah. So that's just one state that's almost around double the size
And
of
that's
the
not the
country.
only
You know
one
what I
that's
mean?
going to have more either.
Oh, exactly.
Some of our
Yeah.
big cities over here are ridiculous. Like,
Yeah. Most
is the
definitely.
big city over there comparable to city life here? Would you say?
Nah, no, I wouldn't say. For example, Amsterdam. Amsterdam really is, and the Netherlands is a big city. Like Amsterdam's considered a big city. Rotterdam, The Hague, those are like considered the big cities. But in comparison to other big cities, Amsterdam is just like a big village. in reality. You know what I mean? Like
So
if you
it's
compare
not like
Amsterdam,
going to Los Angeles or San Diego or San Francisco or
how would I say it? No, actually, no. The simplest way to put it is no. It's not at all. Like in terms of like, looks, aesthetic wise, if you the most city looking city here in the Netherlands is Rotterdam and also The Hague. I would say those two. Especially Rotterdam because I'm sure you know the history of Rotterdam getting bombed, and then they
yeah,
did like a lot of like the reconstruction and all that. Whereas Amsterdam, at least in the main city center ring, still has the old city kind of look. Um, so in terms of like really big buildings and whatnot, you only see that in Amsterdam until you get more to a little bit more the outskirts of the city. So that already kind of has a different vibe to it in itself because usually when you think about city life, let's say New York City or downtown LA, those kind of places, you think like big skyscraper buildings, really congested, populated areas, etc. A
big
lot of cars,
skyscraper
whatnot.
buildings.
Yeah. But out here, uh, once again, you have a bit of that in Rotterdam and The Hague and more on the outskirts of Amsterdam, but even still, just size wise and population wise, it doesn't compare to those big cities that we're used to
I can
in the
see it in
US.
Rotterdam though, because they even pride themselves on being like the center of modern architecture and a whole bunch
Yeah.
of like newer buildings, kind of stuff that you would see in our big cities. But I just didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
how it
exactly.
compared scale wise. It was like, because New York City is massive. Like you can
Yeah,
easily get lost. Very, very.
yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
No, most definitely. And I find myself even for out here in Amsterdam, like once again, it's a big city for the Netherlands, but I find myself running into people all the time, like people that I actually know, not just like people from YouTube, but just running into people that I know. Or if you get involved in certain scenes, for example, I'm really getting more and more active in like the salsa scene out here. So you go to a couple of the parties and you start to just see all the same people at the same different parties and whatnot. And um, yeah, it's still city vibe, it's still city life because especially when you compare it to the dorpjes out here in the
yeah.
Netherlands or the smaller cities,
To the
it
little
definitely feels more.
towns.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely feels more lively than those places because in those towns it really is literally just usually just one little small city center that everyone goes
Like Main
to on the
Street.
weekend. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So it's definitely not that kind of vibe. But it's still not the same scale, I would say,
Okay.
as the big cities that we're used to. Yeah.
Let's see what the net. Treg Media HD says, "Say hello to Sam and ask him what Treg, aka Richard from Omen, asked." I don't know what that means, but you're supposed to know what it means.
I, I don't know that I don't know what he asked, so I don't. Oh, wait, I think actually, yeah. Well, I think when you announced that he was that we were gonna do this, that he did say something on my channel, but I don't remember what the question was. To be honest, I'm sorry, Treg. I apologize, man. You have to ask me again on the video or something, or reply to the comment in this
Yeah,
video, and I'll
reply to the
respond to it.
comment.
Yeah. But shout out to him. He's been a watcher of my channel from like early on, so I really appreciate the support, man. Thank you.
Let's see, Vanessa 1900. I would like to know about racism. Is it different from the Netherlands to the US? Because I have heard several different experiences from different people. Honestly, that's something I'm curious about. I don't want to put anything out there like
No,
segregating, but as a
go
black
for it.
man in America, do you get looked at differently than being a black man in the Netherlands? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Over
So
here, they've almost made like a stigma around it, like black people are dangerous. And I
mhm.
know it's not true, and normal people know it's not true, but there are some
Yeah,
brainwashed Americans out there that they go to the other side of the street if they see a black person walking down the street. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
for sure,
Is it
for
different up
sure.
there? Have you noticed a difference?
So I'll first say this is actually one of the topics that I wanted to have this video out of February, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. But it's one of my upcoming videos that I plan on filming because I know it's a
You
topic
don't have to
that people
ruin
have.
too much about your video. I won't make you do
No,
that.
no, no worries, no worries. But I know it's a topic people have been wanting me to dive into, and I also just feel like personally, it's my channel is a reflection of myself and my story and my interests, etc. And so this is obviously one of the aspects that I feel like I got to cover at some point, or I would like to cover. So that's something that definitely I'm gonna really dive more into the topic coming up. But I guess just to kind of answer the question in a higher level, there's definitely differences in terms of how I feel about my race here compared to how I feel in the US. And it's a really nuanced thing because it's also hard to understand how much of it is with me just being an outsider and being outside of the culture and having less of a, how would I say it? You know what I mean? Like connection with perhaps maybe some like the realities in this country because I'm looking at it with such fresh eyes. Compared to the U.S., you know, there's a lot of history that I'm already aware of, a lot of context that I have, a lot of things that people in my family may have experienced or that I experienced myself that add a certain different weight. You know what I'm saying? Like it adds a different weight to like how I feel about like my race back home compared to here,
Yeah.
or my skin color, I should say. But nonetheless, I could say that out here, there's no experience that I've had where I was just like, oh my gosh, this was so racist, or this was such like some this is so devastating that this happened to me, or whatever the case
But
may
that's
be.
got to be
Like,
a great feeling at the same time. It's got to be nice
yeah,
to be able to escape it. Because
yeah,
that's all
yeah,
it
no,
is. It's just a stigma that people have put on it. That people
yeah,
putting
and I want
fear
to,
out there, and I think that's that you
yeah,
for you to be able to walk to step outside of that box and be like, okay, I don't have to go through that anymore. It's got to feel great.
yeah. Well, I mean, I also want to be careful too, in the sense of I don't want to portray this image or idea that it just doesn't happen at all here, or that there aren't racist people or whatever. Of
Yeah,
course, we have that out here too. You know what I mean? Like,
you're gonna have
this
it
country is not
everywhere.
exactly, and also, I've gotten some really nasty comments on my YouTube channel sometimes, some like really racist comments and whatnot. But also, that's also something that's hard for me to really gauge because it's the internet, so anyone could be a troll. You know what I
True,
mean? Like,
big true.
so those are also things that I just don't really take too much to heart or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's definitely a different experience. I'll say that, and I'm definitely gonna answer this more in detail in the video because
I'm looking
it's a very
forward to
obviously
it.
a very new. Yeah, you know, I know you know it's a very nuanced conversation, and I
Yeah,
really
it's
want to make
something
sure.
you got to do the right way. You have to.
Yeah, yeah,
You got to explain it in the way that you feel most comfortable explaining it.
yeah, yeah. But it's coming though. It's coming.
All right, everybody, pay attention to Sam's channel for the answer to that one. Let me
Yeah.
see. Her flick said, "How?" Oh, I might have to send you this one in a damn message because I don't even know how to say that yet. How is your Dutch getting along? Can you pronounce? Oh my goodness! Hold on, I'm gonna send it over to you at a DM right now on Discord.
Let me see. Wait, hold on. Wait a second. I'm so bad with opera. Okay. Oh, ooggeest. Ooggeest.
So, can you
That's
pronounce
probably
that yet?
yeah. Ooggeest. It's like Oegstgeest. So oogstgeest. The oaks is like it's hard to really get the G out for me on that first G, but
That was the hardest part about learning anything Dutch is that back G where you use the back of your tongue instead of, you know what I mean?
yeah, 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 yeah,
It's like
yeah. I
it's
really
like
have
a
like strong,
rolling G, like you would do it with R's, but it's a G. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah. I mean that's what's nice about the south of the Netherlands. They have like a soft G, so you don't have to really stress that much if you're coming from the
Yeah,
south of
it's
the
not like you're
Netherlands. But
trying
if
to
you do
hawk
have an
up
accent,
phlegm. It's more like that, like a
yeah,
very soft one, like an H almost.
yeah. So like yeah, for example, in Brabant, you would probably say gezellig, but if you go to like the north of the Netherlands, you say gezellig, like you're really
Yeah, you
gezellig.
do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Got some comments from people, just random folks. Daphne says Samuel's a good guy. Lily Girl says,
Uh,
looking forward to the interview. I love Samuel's channel and yours, of course.
uh,
Jeffrey
I
says,
appreciate that.
Jeffrey confirmed. I've met Samuel twice in TV studio.
Yeah, yeah. He's a good guy. He's a really nice guy.
A whole bunch of people looking forward to the interview. I'm looking forward to getting it out there to him. And I definitely appreciate you giving up so much of your time. I know it took us a couple days, but we're finally here.
No, man, I really appreciate you having me, man. Honestly, as I said already, your platform has been an amazing supporter of my channel and all that. So I really appreciate all the love you've shown and what you got going on is amazing. As I said, you got a whole village being built out here. So I think it's really, really amazing what you're doing. And yeah, just the effort that you put into your channel. I mean, how you describe what you were doing when you were in Thailand, that kind of determination is crazy, but a good crazy.
I
Obviously,
went
it
through
paid
some
off because
shit
you
in
built.
Thailand for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, even still, like I mean, I'm happy that you're able to find a little bit more balance with everything. but obviously you have a really loyal fan base for a reason because of what you're able to put out and the quality and your personality, man. I think honestly that's what. Even before you were acting in my videos, I mean, your channel came across my YouTube page, and there's just something about your vibe in the videos that just feels like you're just hanging out with the homie or something while he's watching
Yeah,
some
that's what I
videos and
want
just
it to
chilling.
feel like. I'm not
Yeah,
there's too much there's too much people out there that breed hate and discontent and craziness, and they live on the drama. There's so many channels that are huge, but all they talk about is drama and people, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's not what I want to breed into the world. Like, I want to breed understanding into the world and
yeah,
actually giving a damn about one another. That kind of thing. As long as you're
yeah.
putting out the positive vibe, I don't think you can go wrong. That's what people need. People want
Yeah.
positivity.
I so feel you on that, and like that's I never, and I'm sure you relate to the same thing. It's not in a sense of trying to put out fake positivity or whatever. You're just being yourself, and it's just a
Yeah.
genuine, natural, like positive vibe. And I don't mean this. I'm gonna say this, but I don't mean this as anything wrong to what this person said because I understand what they were saying. But so I got a feedback before that, like I'm taking it too easy sometimes on like Dutch people or like Dutch culture and all this kind of stuff. In a sense of I think that it's too positive sometimes. But for me, it was like I didn't really know how to take that comment because I don't mind critiquing. I feel like I give honest, genuine critique. Perhaps it's still kind of done in a positive way. But that's just as you said, there's enough negativity out there already. If you want to go find negativity or some kind of hatred or whatever, you can find
There's
that easily
plenty
on
of
the
it.
internet. You don't have to there's plenty of it, you know? So I find it dope. I find it amazing to have some kind of pocket of the internet where it's not that, you know, and people can kind of have something a little different to see. And so, yeah, I think people would definitely resonate that with your channel, man. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
Absolutely. People, there's some people out there that are like, oh, how come we never post a negative reaction? Because if I ever get a song that I don't like, why just because I don't like it would I talk shit about it? It's somebody out there's favorite song. It's somebody out there's
Yeah,
piece
yeah,
of art that they spent a lot of time and effort putting together. Why would I dog it? I only post
yeah,
if I get something I don't like. I'm like, you know what? Hey, send me another video. Send me something else from the same artist, and I'll give it another go. Maybe it was just
yeah,
this track that I didn't connect with, or that I didn't really feel like putting out there. Like, I'm not all about the drugs and hookers and hoes, and like, there's enough of that out there for me to
yeah,
not have to even touch it. But when it comes
yeah,
to highlighting things that I think people need to see, or feed like messages in songs where people need to hear it, that's the kind of stuff I love doing. Because
yeah,
it's somebody out there needs to hear something today. It's gonna fall on their heart, and they're gonna feel a little bit better. That's what it's all about. Like, for me.
yeah, yeah. I love that, man. I love that.
Well, definitely, if there's in the future you ever need anything from me, all you got to do is give a holler for sure. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with us. I'm going to post it up here. It'll only be a few minutes, and then I'll post it out probably by 10 minutes to let it generate some steam before it goes premiere, and then I'll be in there talking to the people. I don't know. I'm sure you probably got to get going to bed soon. It's pretty late over there,
Nah, it's
right?
only 8 p.m. right now, so
Okay.
I'm good.
Well,
But
if you see it posted up, then you jump into the chat too and say hi to everybody. That would be
I got you,
awesome.
man. I'm in there. I'm also posted on my channel too. That is coming live. You
Absolutely.
do the you do the lives,
Yeah, I'm
the
gonna do.
live
I'm
play.
gonna do a live play, a premiere.
Yeah.
I'm gonna premiere it
Okay.
like it's going live right now, so that people can hang out and chat in the comment section and whatnot. Um,
Okay. Awesome. Do you mind sending me? Because it's gonna be like a specific time, or you just once it's ready,
I'll
you're just gonna
send you
push
a link
publish.
to it as soon as I get it up there, and then you can share it
Okay.
out.
Cool. Yeah. That way I can like post on like the status of my or whatever they call it. The
Yeah,
little
a community tab.
yeah the community tab. Yeah. I can post like, hey, this is going live, and yeah, I would
Absolutely.
love to share that.
Well, we got to definitely
Um,
get together and do something else collaborative wise. Hopefully, I'll be able to get up to the Netherlands sometime soon. Then we'll have to hook up when
yeah.
I'm up there as well. We'll do something
Dude, give me a
crazy.
heads up, and we're gonna figure something out for
We
sure.
can go
I
remake
got
the
you.
Kadang
Anything
Kadang
that can
video.
help. You said
I
what?
said we'll go take over a train and remake the Kadang Kadang video or something.
Yeah. Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, Sam, I appreciate you stopping by, coming in, spending some time with us. It was lovely to get to know you a little bit better. I'm sure the subscribers will think the same thing. If you haven't done so already, get over and show Exploring the Foreign all the love in the world.
Please appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Sam. I'm gonna go ahead and close this out so we can start getting it uploaded. I'll talk to you in the Discord right after it.
Man.
Hey, if you guys
Sounds
enjoyed
good,
it,
man.
hit the like button, hit the dislike button if you didn't like it, but I won't believe you. Tell the next one of my Combustible. That's Sam. You guys be happy, healthy, safe. I love you to the boulder back. Peace.